Welcome to the Gangcast, aka the Games and Not Games podcast. I'm Jen Garcia, and joining me as always is Isaiah Smith.
Hello.
We are going to jump right into games because I have a question for you at the top, Isaiah, or more of my condolences to you over the PS5 Pro 30th anniversary edition that you did not get.
Yeah. It's a big bummer. And to, give a little bit of context, I don't think you either are like necessarily interested in getting the Pro.
No.
Like neither of us are like pro.
The trajectory of this is so funny because, and I was always like, y'all, it's not that wild that the PS5 Pro, what is it, $700? Is it $700?
Something like that, 6 or 7, something like that.
I'll look it up. But like the price of the PS5 Pro, I thought was high for sure, but made sense in the context of, well, it has to be more than the PS5.
Yeah, exactly.
And the PS5 isn't exactly, the deal of the century. Like it is expensive. So I wasn't too, taken aback by the price in a sense. Like it was like $50 more than I think what I would have wanted to see it at.
Most people are coming in like $650, somewhere around there. So it makes sense.
Which it is a lot of money. And that being said, it's a lot of money. So it's like, okay, well, we don't need to get this. This is fine. Yeah, it is a $700 price tag. But the entire internet was like, oh my God, I can't believe it's so expensive. This is so dumb. Who would want this? Who would want this piece of crap? It barely looks any different.
Yeah.
And like, sure, valid. A little dramatic, but valid. Then they dropped that.
And then they dropped the 30th
anniversary. And the streets were silenced.
Man.
Were you silent or were you silenced?
It's so funny how accurate, like, people have been saying it, like, memeing it, where it's like, oh, we're so over, oh, we're so here, oh, we're so over, so here. It's like PlayStation has been doing this just like up and down, Helldivers, Astro, PlayStation Pro, 30th anniversary. It's like, it's been so up and down.
I guess Concord, because you didn't really name too many downs. Most of those are up, but yes.
And it's like, oh, man, like the turnaround of like, this is so dumb, this is so expensive, who wants this, to the collective gaming community being like, oh, this looks really good, this looks really cool, I want this. Yeah. And to be honest, I woke up Thursday, I think it was, right? I woke up Thursday morning, you woke up with me, right? We had our laptops in bed, we were like waiting to get in line, hop in the line to do whatever. And it wasn't a joyous moment for a lot of people, but I was going to be happy to get either console. I just want the console, to be honest. I'm not going to use it. It wouldn't be a thing that I would get necessarily.
So you wouldn't open it?
Not necessarily. I mean, I would probably open it, but I don't think I would use it. Like
I would have wanted to use it.
Probably not.
Really? You wouldn't have let me use it? That's wild.
No, why?
If it was the Pro,
we don't need it.
If it was the Pro, it looks better. Why not? You bought it.
But I bought it to collect. I didn't buy it to use.
Again, it inherently would have been yours. If you want to do that, it's in your right. But if you were down for it, I definitely would have been like, yeah, that's our PS5 now, the Pro. Because it just looks better. Now, if you had the other one, yeah, sure, fair game. It's the same one. So like, yeah, just keep it. But also for context, this was really meaningful to you because you had the 20th anniversary edition.
I got the 20th anniversary one. And so for me, it would have been just cool. Again, my whole thing is I love that aesthetic, that like gray with the colored buttons. When the 20th anniversary dropped, I got that. I got the headphones. I don't think they had a controller at the time. If they did, actually, the console comes with a controller. I got the headphones. I got all the stuff I can get. And then this time comes around, I'm like, I mean, the controller's cool. I got the controller. The Edge is stupid expensive. I think it's like $220 or something like that. I'm not paying $220 for a controller. I don't care what it looks like, unless it's laced in diamonds. I'm not paying $220 for a controller. The $80 that the regular controller is asking for is already, I don't think you'd get it if it had
diamonds in it either. I don't think you get it with the diamonds either, to be honest. I don't think that's enough to do it for you. And you don't need the Edge. I have the Edge because Greg Miller from Kind of Funny wasn't using his. He's like, I don't even use my Edge. I was like, can I have it? And he's like, sure. And I'm like, free Edge.
Great. Yeah.
And guess what? I also don't use them much. I use it sometimes because I do like having the back paddles for certain games. But because it is heavier, if you're not using the back paddles, there's no reason to use it. So I do find myself often leaning on my more traditional like bass controller.
Yeah. So
well, congrats on the controller.
I got the controller. So I got something that's 30th anniversary.
Yay.
But man, I really wanted that console. Such a L. And then woke up so early and they made it seem like, oh, if you just get in line by 7, that like you're gonna be golden, you know, we'll randomize. I'm sure there was, you know, again, thousands and thousands of people who are trying to get in line and everything like that. But like, I don't know, man. They made it seem like there was gonna be at least the slim consoles, like the non-pro limited edition ones, like just the regular PS5 Slim with the color scheme. They seemed like they were gonna have a lot of those, at least more than you know. It's not a limited quantity like they presumably did for the Pro. And I was like, all right, well, at least I'll get that. Cool, fine. I didn't get that either. That sold out also.
Well, the reason that I felt burned by it, and I kind of just got up like as a last second thing, like you got up, so I naturally kind of got up and I said, oh yeah, I'm gonna help you try to get the console. Like, you know, even though sometimes I'm like, how helpful is that even when you're in the same house? I do think they have stuff where it's like they can, you know, I don't know.
Maybe it's IP based or something.
Exactly.
I think it was different.
But I figured, let me try anyway. I even pulled up my phone and went on my then I went off my with the Wi-Fi to go on the data to see if that would be different. My beef with their system is, well, one, it took them a long time to. Did they even ever announce that it was 7, or was it just a rumor? I found out
through Wario.
Yeah,
I don't even know when if they announced like, hey, at 7 o'clock is when the.
So my beef is that I thought that meant like you said, get there by 7. But when we got there a little bit before 7, they're like, you're in the queue. And it turns out people have been in the queue for like we never got out of the queue.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, I didn't realize this was basically they made the virtual, they added in randomization as well, but they basically made the virtual equivalent of standing outside of the store before it opens. I thought this would more be like, if you're at the door, they'll randomly pick like, it's a crowd outside the store, and they're going to pick, like, everyone grabs a number, and then they're going to pick some numbers. That's kind of what I thought it would be. But the reality was, it was more of, like, a linear line outside the store. And from that, they put you in, like, almost a separate line. And then from that line, they pick it randomly. So it was really weird. That was kind of the beef. I also knew some people, I saw at least one person say, I don't know how true this is, but that they were in line, they were in the queue, and they got through the queue, but they didn't get through I guess, getting out of the queue puts you into the PlayStation's online store, but they were there before the console dropped, so then they had to like re-queue and they never were able to get it because like, but I don't, that's just like one tweet I read. Maybe that person doesn't know what they're talking about, but it just wasn't, I wish they just also just did it differently where you could just kind of, what I think nothing's perfect, but what I think the ideal system would just be, hey, if you are interested in pre-ordering the anniversary edition, you know, put your interest in, like you kind of put your name in the ring, and then they're like, we will be emailing, you know, starting at 7, whatever, we will be sending email waves, and if you do not purchase within like, you know, an hour or something, or 30 minutes, you lose your purchasing voucher or something like that. Because what is the point of doing it this way? It's also why like the old head in me misses the physical opportunity, because I'm down to be a loser. Like I will just stand there, because other people, I'm like, you guys can't just stand there. With a phone, anyone can just stand in a fake virtual line that goes to nowhere. It's like
when you have to stand in the real line.
Well, the real line, there was clarity. First come, first serve. Cool.
Sure. Yeah.
For this, they're like first come, first serve, but also there's randomization, which I understand that they're trying to like avoid bots and things like that, but it just doesn't make for a good like queuing or shopping experience. Like once I saw that it was what it was, and that after 7, you still weren't like in a purchasing opportunity. You couldn't even see that it was sold out at 7. You were still just like in the queue.
Yeah, that was
I was
the
like,
other
oh,
thing.
I'm going to sleep. I handed you my laptop, and I rolled over and I went back to bed.
I think that was one of the more frustrating things, is that like I'm in line saying my wait time is more than an hour. Not even a concrete time. It's just like, oh, it's just more than an hour. You're just going to be here for more than an hour before we even let you through the door. Meanwhile, I don't even know if the thing I want is like in stock still.
Yeah.
Like I'm finding out again on Twitter through Wario and whoever that like, oh man, hey, the pros are now unavailable, but the slims are still there. People waiting in line, or people who still like, you know, queued up. Like I can't even, at least in like a real store, if I'm outside of GameStop or something.
Yeah, they tell you,
they tell
hey
you guys,
like, everyone after this.
Yeah, like you're not getting
no
it.
one's yeah.
It's like, all right, cool. I know I can get out of line, or if I'm
Bring
still there
back
for something
standing
else.
In line.
Yeah, man, it was crazy.
At least as an option, I think. Like, I don't know. Let some I guess like there's no like PlayStation store. I don't know, but
Yeah.
make a Best Buy crowd around. I have some sickos there, you know.
It's crazy.
With the crew that we have, enough people have fake enough jobs that the three of us could figure out how to,
or at least use like I don't know, the direct.PlayStation site is not the greatest. So I feel like you could at least use someone else's like infrastructure. Do it on Amazon, sure. Amazon sells freaking billions of dollars of items.
Was it for pre-ordering the PS5 that PlayStation did the? Didn't PlayStation have a thing where they were like based on how much of a PlayStation fan you are via your PSN? They were giving you like the opportunity. It was like based on like they were like to the highest PlayStation fans, and people were speculating like, was this trophies based? Like, who has the most trophies? I don't even know how to Google for that. But I think it was but that's kind of similar to what I'm suggesting of just like not necessarily ranking fans, but we have PSN accounts. Like, just say you want to buy it, and they should just be able to email you. You email me about every time I freaking buy a game. You can't email me to say that I'm up. That like I won the raffle basically. Like let people do that.
Yeah, I'd rather just
because getting there doesn't actually mean anything.
It doesn't.
That's my beef. Like standing in a virtual line, because the virtual line goes to nowhere. So it's just
Yeah, no, I agree. I'd much rather lose because my entry didn't get called rather than I woke up at 6 or 7 a.m. to get in this virtual line just to still not get anything. I'd rather just get an email saying that, oh, you didn't get anything.
Yeah, I wish I could find what I was looking for, but it's just like so specific. I don't even know how to Google
familiar.
for it. I think that was wasn't that like how you bought how not you, but like I think there was something with the PS5 pre-orders raffle. I don't know. I have no idea how to Google that anymore because like at the time like there were 8 million articles on it. Okay, I think I might have found a little something just to tie a bow on this story from Shack News. PS5 this is old news from 2020 to clarify. PS5 pre-order raffle signups open to existing users. And yeah, it's kind of like what I'm describing, where there was like a page on PlayStation's website. If you have an existing PlayStation account, you'll need to go to the sign up page and enter your PSN like ID and submit it. If you are selected, you should receive notification at the email address associated with the PS Online ID about instructions to pre-order. Quantities will be limited, first come, first serve, with a specific selection of orderable stock, et cetera, et cetera. And that was, again, written up by Shack News at the time before the PS5 dropped or whatever. Like, I feel like that's a lot more humane. It's like, let me just say that I want to buy it.
Yeah.
And just email me. And if I don't get an email, I don't get to buy it. And it's like, cool, the end. Like, why are we...
Yeah, at least like lean into that this is a raffle and not make you do an obstacle course just to end up at
it's a really unclear obstacle course. So I'm on your side as usual.
Yeah, we're not taking PlayStation side.
Yeah,
here,
I do
still
have a little bit of hope that we can get the PlayStation. I know you're listening to this. Don't make Isaiah pay for my sins. He loves PlayStation more than anything. And I like PlayStation too, but you really like. I ain't gonna buy no 30th anniversary.
PlayStation.
Yeah,
sure.
So is mine, but I just don't care as much. Like you have more of a love.
You left and then came back and stuff. I
didn't leave.
Here.
When did I leave?
You said you like left games for a long time.
Yeah, but I came back and still got the PS4. But
yeah, that's what I'm saying. You still left and you came back. Since PS1, I've been there, and it's my history.
I'd rather just go with you just like it more. You also were there longer, yes, because I didn't have a PS1. I had a PS2. But it's not even that I left games. I just didn't care about like. I didn't like the Wii. So I was like, you know what? We're kind of slowing down a little bit for me. Like, but I was never on it with my console purchases because I couldn't be because I was a kid. So like, you know,
fair.
Just because I'm like, oh, I wasn't day one, but some of us couldn't be day one, Isaiah. Okay. So I was still playing my PS3 when the PS4 was out. You know, I was like that kind of person. And I got the PS4 really late as well. Now I'm like, okay, I'm flowing with time. Like, when something comes out, I got it. You know, I'm like, I don't know how you couldn't even get the.
You got the Switch 2 money set aside.
Nope, I'm gonna buy it. I'll be honest. I'm gonna set aside right now. I'm definitely I'll be there. I probably should start working on like getting that set up, honestly. But yeah, I will be there day one for the Switch 2. I don't think there'd be a reason I wouldn't be. Like, I don't want to say for sure yet, but I can't imagine them rolling out something where I'm like, you know what?
I was saying, could you imagine Nintendo rolling out the
Wii 2 or something?
No, a Switch 2 that they have to buy directly from Nintendo. Like, you have to imagine this PS5 30th anniversary drop, but done by Nintendo, and how even more disastrous that would have been.
Yeah, it would have been less complicated. It would have been more. And here's the thing.
Well, the thing is,
my
they
hot
probably
take,
would have just done the raffle.
They would have. No, they would have just opened it up, and then scalpers would have gotten it. But here's the tea.
Worse.
Here's the tea. At least when scalpers go and get it quickly, we know fast. PlayStation just out here pretending like because we don't have any scalpers. Y'all still getting the scalpers. Y'all's got the mom and pop scalpers now. You know.
No, that's fair.
Anyway,
That's fair.
I still have a little bit of hope that you will get your PS5 anniversary edition.
Nah, I'm glad you got hope. I don't have hope.
Yeah,
But
I will say, if I'm not allowed to play that Pro, we might as well just get you that little slim boy because he's cheaper. So
yeah, that's fine.
We'll see what we can do. Shifting gears, it's time to talk about the other. We're going to reach across the aisle and talk about Starfield. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, I bet they're talking about it because the update just dropped. Nope. It's got nothing to do with the update. Isaiah finally started and finished Starfield. Isaiah, take me on your journey. Which was the name of your character again?
Tatiana.
Was it Tatiana again?
Yeah.
What was Tatiana's journey in Starfield Land? I forget the name of the universe that they're in. I don't know.
The multiple universe, or I guess it's one universe with multiple galaxies. I don't know.
Yeah.
The Tatiana started off with curiosity, you know. Tatiana has a history with these Bethesda games, right? You know, knowing what to expect, and remember hearing neutral things about Starfield when it first dropped. And then we finally jumped into the game ourselves because curiosity finally got the better of us. I forget what it was. I think we were playing something on your stream, and I was like, you know what? Fine, I'll play Starfield. I can play some Star. I think it might have been.
It might have been Astro Bot.
It might have been Astro.
It was
I think
Astro
after
Bot.
the Astro stream.
You're like, you know what? I need more sci-fi in my life.
Yeah.
Well, that night, after we were playing, you gave me like an option. You said I can start Starfield or I can like play something else. I what the other option was.
Something else. But you decided on Starfield.
Yeah.
So finally got around to playing Starfield again. I love my Fallouts. Well, I like my recent Fallouts. I love the older Fallouts. Those are great. Skyrim was fun. Had a lot of good time with Skyrim. We'll see what Elder Scrolls 6 is like. But man, Starfield was. I looking back on my games for the year so far, Starfield is the worst game that I finished this year, which isn't crazy because, you know, you only play so many games a year. You generally want to reach for good ones or ones you like know are good and stuff like that. But like, it is the only 2 that I gave on my Isaiah scale this year.
Which can you remind us what the scale is?
Yeah, sure. For the Isaiah scale, 1 is did not like it. 2 is neutral, didn't like it, didn't dislike it. 3 is liked it, and then 4 is loved it. It's an asymmetrical scale that gives you a bonus option for something that you really love to like really help highlight the good. And then because if you're bad, you're just bad. It doesn't matter how severely you're bad. But the game is a 2 on the Isaiah scale.
So you're neutral on it.
It wasn't good, but it wasn't a bad game. Like the game functioned, it was playable, but I was not wowed at any moment in this game. In fact, I was more or less annoyed by multiple moments in this game. But the game did function. It set out to do what I think it was aiming to do.
Which was?
It's just that what that was not fun.
Well, what would you say it aimed to do? And thus accomplished to you?
Really just give the player these large, or not even large, these like just diverse biomes to explore. Each planet kind of has its own quirks, whether it's like temperature, gravity, the creatures there, you know, stuff like that. But the story of the game really guides you just through these like handful of locations to get the MacGuffin that you need for the story, which is very poorly paced as we talked about before. And then that's it. And it's like, all right, cool. Like they give you these awesome worlds and galaxies with planets and suns and things for you to go to and explore, but they don't give you a reason to do any of that. And it's like, well, why? You spent, I'm sure, a lot of time, a lot of effort. I'm sure these worlds are cool. I'm sure there are some really cool side stories if you really go digging. You know, Fallout, I know has again, that's my most history with Bethesda games. It's like Fallout has fantastic random buildings where you go into, and there's just like this little it's almost like a little snow globe of like just a great story in this little building of someone's journey, environmental storytelling, all this, that. You find some terminals, you're reading letters. Fantastic. I'm sure that does exist in Starfield, but when the MacGuffin is just warp to this planet, do this thing, warp to this planet, do this thing, warp to this planet, do this thing, go back home, and then repeat that cycle like a dozen times, that just gets lost. And there's no incentive. There's zero. I was given zero incentive to explore in this game. And I think that is one of the bigger flaws in it. Whereas if you just have that natural curiosity, maybe this game is for you and you'll get way more out of it than I did. But for me, it was rough. It got really bad. Towards the end there, I was like, hey, can I like beeline the beeline? Like, I'm skipping dialogue. Like, I stopped caring so hard because I really just wanted to roll the credits. And the big reveal at the end, which I won't, spoil here or anything like that, but like all of this led to like something that I feel like was pretty lackluster.
Yeah, this game, it was a thrill to see you play this game.
Yeah,
which kind of sounds like
I started very high.
Which sounds like I set you up. Really, you started high on this game.
Well, I started very positive. I was like, you know what?
Well, you had a positive mindset.
Yeah, this is Fallout
in
in space. This is gonna be great. The people who brought me Fallout, now they're going to space. This is fantastic. We're gonna fight some aliens. We're gonna get some ray blasters.
I think that was your feeling before you literally started the game. But one thing that shocked me about watching your playthrough, and I watched most of it. Like, I wasn't like locked in on every single moment. Like, you definitely played some time when I like wasn't in the room and stuff. But I watched a lot of your like beginning.
You didn't miss anything.
I watched the end, and I watched for a bit. Like, I was working on like editing something, and I had your like Starfield footage pulled up on the screen. Where if you're watching the YouTube version, this is like the studio side or the set side of the studio, and beyond the camera is like a desk that like more of the tech runs on, and that's like a desk that we sometimes do other work from. Like, you'll edit when you have the podcast, you're editing on there. When I write certain articles, or maybe I'm publishing in like the CMS, I'll go on there for stuff. So I'm like, okay, I had your stream up there, where Isaiah was sitting here playing and then just like casted his gameplay to like the TV with this monitor, which was really fun. But I knew that it was that you were fucked really early on. Like, because my curiosity with Isaiah playing this, it was a lot of things. One, Isaiah was genuinely curious about the game, and I'm like, well, if you're interested,
we have it.
Play it. We have it. I don't think you're going to like it because I didn't like it, and I didn't think it was good. And I also talked to other people who I feel like do have a deeper Fallout background, because I only dabbled a little bit in 3 and 4, never finished them, but I enjoyed my time with my brief little time. But I'm not like, I can't call myself a Fallout fan, because I'm just like, not fully, like I haven't finished that route. But based on all that, I'm like, I don't think Isaiah's gonna like this game. Like, I kind of felt like there was no chance, but I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
Maybe there's a little chance, so let's see.
Yeah.
And then you wanted to play it, and you knew all that going in too. I wasn't like, I didn't pretend like I loved it and then say, oh, haha, got you, like, bad game. No. So, but I knew that we were probably fucked the second that you started making the same kind of comments I made, because I'm like, no, he's over. It's over.
And it was like at the same part too, or something like that.
Literally for all of the same parts. Like, again, we won't get into spoilers, but like the character creation, when you were looking at like the perks and like all of the I'm using the term perks incorrectly, but there are like attributes basically that you can assign to your player, and you do not need to assign attributes. You can assign up to, I think, like 2 additional ones, but they were things like oh, you're part of this faction, which gives you this cool thing, but like you'll be maybe other people won't like you or something. Or like the house one was like, you can get a house, but you have to pay off the mortgage like every week, which also that's not how it functioned when I actually did it, but like that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
There's like another one where it's like you have like this Stan who follows you around everywhere, and he sometimes gives you gifts, but he's also like really annoying. So everything had like a perk, like a buff and a debuff, which I found made everything kind of a little bit holistically unappealing. But when you turned to me and said, why would I pick a faction? I don't even know who any of these factions are.
Any of these factions
I was like,
are.
He's screwed, because that's what I thought. When I was like, well, how am I going to make this decision when it's like, I don't know anything about this?
Which again, having beat the game, I understand, but like first playthrough, man, that is rough. When you're if you're replaying the game and you know who these factions and everything are, then it can make sense why it's like, oh no, I know for this character, my new file or whatever, I'm gonna join the Fallout equivalent to the settlers or something like that. And it's like, all right, cool. But like for first time playthrough, jumping in blind. Why am I picking factions?
And then this game, also, like your playthrough, also felt like re-traumatizing to my playthrough because I remember like, man, I didn't like this game. I thought it was really boring and like it kind of sucked. But I kind of forgot like the finer details because it's been a long time. It's been like a year since I played it. So I'm like, yeah, I just remember it was kind of dull. And then I started seeing stuff that I'm like, oh my God, I remember when I got to this and I said the same thing. And one of those was when you got the jetpack. That's when I knew.
That's so why.
Can you tell people about this jetpack?
So you can get they give you a jetpack. Like in the course of just doing the main story
early on too, like first
fairly
like
early
hour
on. Yeah. You are given like, you get like equipment, you get a suit, you could get like a top, you get some underclothes, your guns, your holsters, blah, blah, blah. Right. They give you a jetpack and the jetpack has like the little skill attributes of it is like, oh, it's got like moderate boost or whatever it's called. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like I can like, essentially like double jump or boost and hover and then like shoot things. Like in my mind, I'm like, oh, this is going to be really cool. They gave me this jetpack. It's going to change how I do combat. I'm going to be like, floating in the air and blasting away at people, death rains from above. Right. But little did I know, and nowhere did they say this. And I think we actually had to look it up again, or you looked it up. Yeah, I had to
Google it again because I first Googled how to use it, like the button input. And I'm like, it says, and I'm going to get it wrong because I don't remember it anymore again. I think just hit A again. I'm like, it says to jump and then just jump again. And you tried doing it, nothing happened. And then you like broke your leg. So you're always injured in this game. Like it's always like, oh, you have pneumonia. Like, Yeah. It's like, oh, the game said you tested positive for COVID and now you're just fucked for like 30 minutes. But it wasn't working. And then a little bit later, I'm like, let me just like really look into like a full like guide page on this. And that's when it came back to me. I was like, oh, Isaiah, it's one of the skills that you have to unlock and like purchase with when you gain, like any other game, like a lot of games, you level up, the bar fills with XP and then you gain like, oh, next level, like level 10, level 11. But with each level, you only get one skill point, and every skill costs at least one skill point. Maybe some of them cost two later. I couldn't tell remember. Maybe they're all one. Yeah. But within each skill, there's sub skills that do they also cost skill points? Or are they more
each
XP
skill
based?
Has like levels to it. And there's like a rank. So there's like, tier 1 skills, below that is tier 2, below that is tier 3.
Well, I'm talking about the ones inside of that skill.
Yes,
where it's like you can, okay, yeah.
So like in tier 1, there are like 4 options for skills. And then in each of those skills, there's like 5 levels to that skill. But they don't tell, I didn't see them tell me anywhere that you have to unlock the essentially jetpack skill to use the jetpack that they gave you.
For a space game. This literally, it felt like when, and it's something one of my big pet peeves in games, when I feel like I have to unlock stuff, it felt like they wanted me to have more stuff I needed to unlock. So they took away stuff that I feel like I should have. It'd be like if you had to unlock the ability to heal. It's like, what is going on?
Yeah.
What is going on? So yeah.
So bad.
Then I was like, I knew you were cooked. Then I started, once I realized that you were probably going to agree with most of my like in the moment takes, then I started to be able to see into the future because like, again, without spoiling anything, like you do get like additional abilities that are kind of more on that like, sci-fi realm where it's like you're not just a person with a gun. You can like do other stuff like, ooh, like even though there's no VATS. You kept asking me like, is there gonna be VATS? Is there VATS? This is no VATS.
I don't know why they hate VATS. VATS is the best thing to come out of Bethesda.
But you have like other,
in a long time.
I know it's the same, but you do get other things later. But once when you did the first unlock for like your special abilities, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember hating this. I was thinking in my head, I'm like, I remember hating this. And then you were like, am I doing this right? I was like, keep going.
Yeah, first of all, because the skill you get aside, or the ability, the talent, whatever you want to call it aside, the act of like unlocking, of doing the mechanical thing in the game to like satisfy unlocking it is the equivalent of you pressing a button X many times, and all of a sudden the treat comes out.
You literally
like,
just
I don't know how many times I need to do
You're
this.
like flying in a room. The room's like really dark and it has like a bunch of little like glowing dots. And then you fly to like a cluster of them. and then another cluster appears somewhere else. You fly to that, and that
you just
repeats
do
itself
that.
for an unknown amount of times.
Yes.
Because I did look up because it was taking you a long time, and I'm like, maybe you are doing it wrong, but that's what I remember doing. And I looked it up, and then one of the guides was like, "We have no idea what determines how many times you do it."
This is, I think, arguably one of the worst things I've seen in the game.
And then you
in a long
gain
time.
those ability, like that's like a fairly tedious act to me.
Very tedious.
And then literally the next mission is the same thing on a different planet for the next ability, and they're all connected. I'm like, why did you put these all back to back? It reminded me of like that episode of The Office when they ran the 5K and Toby finished and he said, "Oh my God, I did it. Where am I?" We're 5 kilometers from the office. And he said he didn't make it a loop. That's what I felt like. It's like, it doesn't make any sense to like, you could have rolled out these abilities. Like I should have got the first ability like early in the game and then, spread it, and I don't want to backseat dev too much on the order of it, but it just felt so like, okay, now I have all these things that I had to get the same way over and over again. And yeah, it's a bit of a mess. So, are you glad you played it?
I am glad I played it.
Yes, to just know.
Yeah. I know that unfortunately, I think that Bethesda in a traditional sense might not, they might be like Rocksteady now, where like in my head they had, they got this like plethora of games behind them. They were all so good. They got the sauce. Sometimes sauce expires, and I think it's time that the Bethesda sauce might be expired now. I'm not saying it's bad. It's past the sell by date. It might not be past the goodbye date.
All we're saying is we got sick and we ate it. Like I don't know. You might be okay. I didn't feel good afterwards.
Because Elder Scrolls is presumably next.
Sauce, yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know what they can do with Elder Scrolls that makes me believe that it's gonna be a hit now, but I gotta be more than Starfield. That's for sure. They cannot afford to do another flub. That's all I'm saying. They have Fallout 76. They got Starfield. They can't ruin all 3 of their pillars. All right, that's all I know.
Yeah. Well, for those who did like Starfield, remember that you can get Shattered Space, the DLC to Starfield. It comes with Xbox Game Pass, or you can buy it separately for an unknown amount because it's taking me too long to get to the thing. Can I go to Steam for this? Jeez, never mind. They want me to go to too many. It's like one of those things where they have a drop down. It's a whole thing for an amount that I'm sure makes sense. Where like I guess you get like the platinum edition that has like Shattered Space included. Yeah, it was a time, but you also beat it really fast. You beat it in like I feel like less than a week.
Oh yeah.
So
it was like a 20, low 20s hours. Like that, which is again still long in the moment. But
are you like shocked that took me 40 hours to beat that game?
No, not at all. Not at all.
I was out there in the side quests. I
had the benefit of the guide too.
Yeah.
Like the fact that I could look up when I was stuck with something and didn't have to just like wait until I figured it out or something.
I figured all that. I mean, it wasn't like, it's not a hard game, but like I did it all like myself because there was no guide. I was before the game release and I had COVID. So yeah, I was really out there in space, just like, fuck it, man. I was just flying around.
But speaking of finishing games, you finished a game.
Yes.
Also recently.
Finally. I'm back, kind of. I do feel like this year was a little bit of has been like a washed year for me with rolling credits on games. But part of that is I'm trying to be a little bit pickier on what I roll credits on. I do think I'm torn because on one hand, I'm like you, like sometimes it's nice to have beaten the Starfield just to like have a full opinion on it. But sometimes it's like, maybe I already knew what this was way earlier and I could just let it go. So I'm trying to like let go a little bit more this year.
Sure.
But a game that I really enjoyed and finished is Loddlenaut. I mentioned this, I think, before on the show. It is the underwater, like, you're literally like, what's that whack TikTok on that astronaut in the ocean? It's like, it's that, the game. So yeah, you're an astronaut going to a water planet and you are cleaning up the litter there. And as you clean up the litter, the biomes reflourish. And then, what's that? It's a Loddle. What's a Loddle? It's an axolotl mixed with a fish. They're swimming around and they're cute and they're buddies. And you can have them follow you. You take them through a little bubble jet. They get clean.
Oh.
You can feed them treats. You can make them food feed them little treats. You can make them little toys. Throw the toys at them. They hit the toy. It is
a cozy game? Is it a cute game? What?
It's a cozy game. It's a cozy game that is cute and about cleaning. Like it's a cleaning game.
Okay.
So if you like to clean in games,
chores game.
It's a chores game, but the only chore is cleaning. Like you are cleaning.
Oh, okay.
Like that's it. You do a couple other things because you can use the like your home base has like these different recycling bins. Mm-hmm. So you're like collecting stuff until your inventory's full, and then it'll be like, okay, I got like 12 cans, 3 soda pop rings, like whatever, and then you put them into the right bin. So you like shoot them out, and then you like put all the cans in the can one, put all the whatever, and you can't mess it up because like if you try to put the wrong one, it'll just like say like it'll reject it. And if you fill up a meter on those cans, they like give you material. And you can use that material to like craft certain things or like kind of buy like items. So you go to like a little kiosk and you can get like different modules, like the cooking module where you can like make snacks for your Loddles, like make little recipes. You can get additional. There's like little rings that you can place, and when you go through the ring, you like re-up your oxygen and you like get clean if you have any Loddles that are following you. So you can like buy those structures to place in the world. You can also buy upgrades. Some of them are needed to like progress the game. Like you need to buy the there's a thing you can eventually buy that's like a little vacuum that sucks up microplastics in the ocean. So
okay.
So you can buy that eventually. And like there's a little progression like that. You can also get upgrades like, oh, your inventory's bigger, your oxygen lasts longer, stuff like that.
The classics.
Yeah, but the whole game is about cleaning. Like, if you do not like the idea of like swimming around and then like using a bubble gun to like, I got a can, or like using your bubble gun can also form as like a laser to like clean up like gunk because you're also cleaning gunk. So it's like almost like Power Wash Simulator kind of vibe where it's like boom,
underwater Power Wash
clean.
Simulator.
Yeah, and then so if that idea is like, oh, why would I do that? Okay, don't play the game. Like you're not gonna like it because that's what the game is. But if you look at that, I wrote an article on my site, Pen to Pixels, and because you have GIF integration, I have GIFs in there. If you look at those GIFs and you say, this looks awesome, you're going to love this game. Okay. Like, it's really fun because that's just all it is. And then it just gets easier to clean. So I'm like, okay, now, like, there's that street sweeper thing I got, but for underground, it's like a big sponge.
Oh, yeah.
That I can ride. That's so fun. And then you can go, vroom, and then it's really cute. So, yeah, it's just a chill game where you're like, you're cleaning, and you're like checking your oxygen. You're making sure you're re-upping on like, you can fly through the little bubbles to gain more oxygen. And it's like, cool. Once your inventory gets full, you're like, cool, I'm going to swim back to my home base and then empty out my stuff and then come back out. And then you clean the next biome. And then they're like, and the progression's like someone on the phone is like, hey, like this biome's clean. Try to find like the blah, blah, blah one. You have a map and stuff too, where you can kind of go to different places. There's a bit more you can do than what I did. Especially too, I know they just had an update for the Switch version. I don't know if that update hits Steam as well. I assume it does. But you can like, they like updated the game, and I think there's like giant Loddles in it now. But like I didn't see that in my one. But also my Steam Deck was a little funky, so maybe I didn't get the update. But yeah, I just came to Switch for those who don't have a Steam Deck or don't have a PC. Yeah, it's cute. It's really well made. I beat it. It was really fun. I almost got all the achievements too. I didn't quite hit there, but I'm like, that's fine. But this is one that I was like interested in when it came out last year, and I just never got around to it. And I was like, you know what? Like, I knew that like my colleague Jenny over at Indie Council really liked it. And I'm like, this looks really good. This looks like it'd be so fun to do. I love cleaning in games. And then I played it and I'm like, yeah, this is great. The music and the sound effects are like adorable and soothing, and it's just like, it's just a good time. I think you would like the game okay. I think you would like it less than me. You might find some aspects like of going back and forth for the inventory a little tedious.
I was going to ask, is there like sort of strategic elements to the game, like base building or anything like it just is what it is?
You're just cleaning. Yeah. There's not like, oh, you can build a structure that like helps you clean faster. Like you get stuff that helps you clean quicker, but there's not really like a big like strategy element to it. It's like you're just kind of gaining resources and then you're like cashing the resources. The closest thing to strategy is maybe trying to like make sure that you're progressing into like what's going to move the game forward, because you can kind of see like the objectives. So you're like, oh, maybe you don't want to spend your stuff making the sandwich for fun because you want to save those materials for like buying the next upgrade that you literally need. Because there's certain like areas where it's like you get like an upgrade to your suit to let you go to like further down in the ocean, and like there's an area that's further down that you can't go to until you have that upgrade. So there's like a little bit of that kind of thing. But it's just it's just, I don't know, do you not want to clean the ocean? Like, do you know, like, if that's not exciting to you, I don't know what to tell you. Like,
all right. Okay.
Yeah, that's Loddlenaut. It's very cute.
All right, yeah. Well, we have it on Steam Deck, so
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
I do like a nice, like, I'm not gonna say. I mean, I guess it is cozy to a degree, but like, it's not. I don't think set out to necessarily. It's not like a. Or you tell me, is it like a relaxing game? Like, is it kind of like set out to relax you, or is it more of just like what it is inherently relaxing because it's a slower paced kind of like?
I think in a technical sense, it's more happens to be relaxing only because I don't think my guess is that the developers wouldn't say like, we wanted you to relax, but I don't think they wanted you to stress either. I think they wanted it to be like, you know, enough stakes that you're somewhat engaged, where it's like, oh, I got to monitor my oxygen, but. I mean, I think they know that they made like a cute little cozy thing under the water. Like, I feel like that is very much the sensibilities of it.
I like. To me, it seems like it might fit that same vibe as like a slime rancher for me, where it's like I'm just here, I'm taking care of my little slimes, I'm building them a pen, and you know, getting some more and feeding them carrots and doing whatever. Like, it seems like it might. Obviously different gameplay, like, you know, contextually different, but like it might fit that same sort of like itch, you know. What I mean?
I think specifically if you like cleaning, this is good. I'm not sure how much you like to clean in a game.
I don't think I really played games that have you clean. Like,
really,
I did a little bit of
yeah.
I did a little bit of Power Wash Simulator, and that was fun.
I like that too, but it made me so sleepy.
Yeah,
it's too relaxing. Yeah. Like, I would fall asleep playing that game.
Whereas it's got more. It's a little more exciting than Power Wash Simulator.
Power Wash Simulator, the thing that makes it like too relaxing for me is that I literally am just like, okay, point it and then just press the button, and I'm just like passing out at the thing because the structures are also pretty big. This is like, I think the reason this feels more stimulating, even if it's not like a better game necessarily, is the spots you're cleaning are smaller. It's like you just hold down, it goes, you know, boom, cleans. Okay, then you swim to the next thing. Power Wash Simulator, you're standing still. Ish for longer to me, like we're just kind of moving the hose around, and in that time I'm standing still, I'm passing out, I'm asleep. Even though I do want to go back and play the SpongeBob DLC they had for Power Wash Simulator.
That sounds awesome.
So maybe we could play it together at some point.
Cool.
We also have finished and platinumed Astro Bot.
The boy.
And the beef has been squashed. We had our perfect moment of completion. This was your idea, really, that I noticed that you were very kindly trying to match my pacing.
Yeah. Like we, you know, again, when I play games, I am much more the type to like really just dive in, do nothing but play the game, finish it, and then kind of like come back up for air, right? But I know that Janet, she mentioned she hates when I laugh her in games, and I was like, you know what? I'll just slow it down. I'll take my foot off the gas. We'll slow it down. I'll catch up to where you are, and then we'll play it together, and we'll beat the worlds together, and have a nice little fun time playing on the couch. And yeah, no, we beat the game together. We rolled credits, I guess, together, basically
at the exact same time, yeah.
And then we also did like platinum trophy cleanup afterwards together, which was really fun. And yeah, that was good. We Janet is a very skilled platformer. We did some of those like challenge levels, and I think in every one she beat it before I did, and you know, really I don't know, defended her crown as a queen of the platformers, and yeah, no, it was a fun time. It was a good time. Good platinum.
Thank you for honoring my skill set. I'm like, it's the only thing I really, and even that I might not have it on you because you are also very good, but it's like, if I have one thing on you, it might be this. So I'm like,
sure,
I gotta have at least my one thing. Because I don't got, we're gonna talk about later about these puzzles. But it was really fun. I appreciate you slowing down to be my friend, and we walk arm in arm together. Like those that random social clip of the two bikers going through, and they lost that other woman or person or whatever. But yeah, it was nice. It was, it's a game that like I thought was really fun. I think, you agree, we both love this game.
Game's dumb good. It's stupid good.
And we don't need to spend too much time talking about like game good, right? But like it was like I played the first like my first 4 hours, which was only like 1.5 worlds for me. Like that's what I completed at the time. Podcasted about it, was like, yeah, it looks really cool, la la la.
Mm-hmm.
And then like it got better. And then it's like we waited a bit. Then it got better again.
Mm-hmm. And
then it's like, not that it plateaus, but it's kind of like, okay, cool, it's this much fun or it's this good. And I felt like it kept upping the ante on that in a way that I thought was really surprising, because I'm like, I feel like 2 worlds in, you definitely know if you like the game or not. Like I think if you don't like the game 2 worlds in, like it's just over for you. But if you do like the game, you're in for like so many more treats.
The best treat ever. Yeah.
Yeah. What was your obviously we don't want to like spoil too many things, but like what are some of your like favorite things from your time with Astro Bot?
Ooh. I mean, the easy answer is probably the like PlayStation levels. I don't know what else to call them. But like after you beat finish each galaxy, there's like 5 galaxies or whatever that like have a boss at the end kind of thing. After you beat the boss, it unlocks what I'm just calling a PlayStation level, which is like a level really themed to a PlayStation IP.
Yeah.
And man, every single time those come around, I'm like, this is peak gaming right here. Like it's so good the way they're able to take the like all these various IPs and like really just distill down what makes those games good and then like emulate that in this like Astro Bot world.
Yeah.
Really fun, really good time while staying Astro Bot. Like that's the other thing too. Like, they will I'll pick a fake one, for example. Say it was like they brought in Spider-Man. Right. Spoilers. It's not a Spider-Man
That would be
level.
awesome.
That'd be awesome. But like, I guarantee you, they would have you swinging around this Astro Bot New York City and like having you whip out like webs to web people to like a tree or something.
Yeah.
Like the thing they would give you are like
shooters.
The web shooters, and then with that, they would theme the Astro Bot level around you using those web shooters to do the stuff that Astro normally already does, but just as Spider-Man.
Yeah. And they would also have something like in that example, maybe a nod towards what collectibles are in Spider-Man. So maybe that would be like the Spider Bots, or maybe it would be letters or postcards. Obviously there are different collectibles in the different parts of the franchise. And then also like little lore nods, like maybe the bots you're collecting are like, if it's like Spider-Man, maybe Miles, there's a Miles bot or something like that. So yeah, it was like a really fun, creative take on the IP. I also think, which other people point this out, like across, content and coverage of this game, but they did do a good job of having some like sort of obvious choices and then some like choices where even if you're a PlayStation fan, there could be worlds you go to where you're like, I don't really know this IP that much. And obviously there's only so many of those because there's only like 6 galaxies. Unless they're doing like, unless all those are deep cuts, like there's probably only 1 or 2 that are like deeper cuts. But yeah, I thought that was really fun. And I really liked, I guess one thing I want to throw out there for people that haven't played it yet or still playing it, if you are interested in going that more completionist route or platinum route, I would definitely recommend doing it per world, because each world, like with the puzzle pieces, it fills the board in the hub world. And then once that board is filled for that world, a structure will appear that's like related to, actually not really related to anything, but just like kind of a random structure in the world that might give you like extra stuff to engage with.
Yeah. Costumes or like color schemes for things.
Like one of the early ones is like painting the controller. And it's like just really fun to get, like, I know a lot of people will say, oh, I'm going to save cleanup for the end. I think this is a game where you really want to do it as you're going, because you literally get stuff.
Yeah, you benefit. You can benefit from the unlockables as you're playing.
Yeah, and that's true for like all of the worlds. So I would recommend like finishing it and then like checking in the hub world, seeing what you got. Even if you end up being like, actually, I don't care. Yeah. At least like you like know that you don't care about it. But there were some really, really fun things. So I really liked that they like added meaning to that as well. So yeah. We still have to drink out of our chalice.
Yeah, for getting a platinum. We have like a platinum trophy chalice that it's a glass little cup basically.
It looks like a trophy,
shaped like the PlayStation Platinum trophy. And usually when someone in the house or Edwin, when he comes over, someone if anyone gets like a platinum, we either open up a beer or in my case usually it's like a Coke
soda
or something.
Sparkling
we
water.
pour it in there, we drink out of it, we take our photo. It's always fun. It's a good time.
So,
it's a good tradition.
It's like our version of pouring Gatorade on the coach's head. It's like this is what we do. And then lastly for games, The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom just came out.
Yeah, it just came out. Was it Thursday?
Yeah, this one you can run away without me. That's okay. I understand because it's like I'm probably not gonna.
Oh, sure.
I have just other work to do. Like I do appreciate the waiting for me for Astro, but like there's no platinum in Nintendo anyway. It's like don't worry about it. But yeah, you were kind of thirsty for this because I get these physical because Nintendo just doesn't give me codes for it, so it's like whatever. I get the physical copy, and I like physical media, so it's like I'm not getting the code. Well, I might as well get it physical,
Mm-hmm.
Cool collector's piece, can like lend it to friends, blah blah blah. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get it, but. Then we end up in the situation where since it's not digital and it's also Switch doesn't have a great digital share infrastructure anyway.
No, not at all.
You went ahead and just bought it yourself because you wanted, but you bought it in an interesting way too. So tell me about that.
Yeah, Nintendo does this thing. I don't know if they always do it, if they only do it like around the holiday season. I only ever buy, to be honest, like 1, maybe 2 Switch games a year. So I'm not in the eShop like that heavy. But whenever I'm there, and they have these like vouchers. It's like a 2-game voucher for $100. So instead of, depending on what games you're going to get, presumably Nintendo games rarely go on sale.
They don't.
They
literally don't.
So you can generally get 2 Nintendo games at a $20 discount if you just buy the voucher first and then use the voucher to redeem for the game. So I did that. The 2 games I'm looking to get this year are the Echoes of Wisdom and then Mario and Luigi Brothership. I think it's Brothership, right? Not Brotherhood.
I think it's Brothership because it's a ship.
Yeah. Mario and Luigi Brothership. So I'm like, all right, cool.
Super Mario Brothers.
I'm planning on getting these 2 games anyway, so why not save $20 and get them via the voucher?
Yeah, the voucher is such a cool system too. Like I have no problem dragging Nintendo because they often deserve it, but I think they have the best. I think that voucher system is so cool.
It is really
and I
cool.
wish everyone could adopt something like that. It's just like in the age of people being like, damn, this is getting expensive. It's like it's just really nice they have something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also really like their gold point system too, where I got my cartridge and I clicked on if you hit the plus over when you're hovering over the game, you can hit like redeem for gold points and then get the extra points. You get that too when you buy digital. It's just digital, it's automatic because it's like
They
see you bought it,
and it's tied,
but here it's like you kind of have to like activate it extra, and like those points are like so they add up so quickly. If you're like especially if you're buying like smaller games and stuff, like those points rack up real fast. And I've gotten like games for free or heavily discounted, and like on every other side they have stuff, but it's not like it takes so long for it to build up to anything.
Yeah.
That I don't even know if I've ever gotten anything on discount on PlayStation on the digital storefront. But yeah, so you started on Thursday then. How's it going?
It's going good. I feel like I'm further than I probably am. This kind of strikes me as the kind of game that like, once you think you're about approaching the end, really you're only like 60% done, and there's actually like a whole second arc or something that like kind of springs on you. Definitely not going to go into any details for this game since it's so new. But like, there's a sort of main objective that they open the game with. And I'm just about done with that, but it feels, when I look at my map, I'm like, oh man, a lot of this map is not explored. And I don't know if that's just because like they leave you to explore it at your own whim, or if they will guide you to all the different areas like they do in most of the other Zelda games.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see.
You're probably right. Maybe there's some type of twist.
I imagine.
I think it's okay to say what you do, just because you get it in the first couple seconds. Like there's these like, I don't know, portals that have opened up of like some type of rifts. Yeah, Rift Apart. Legend of Zelda Rift Apart. You see in the trailer where it's like, oh, like Link's fighting, and then oh my god, he fell into the rift, and then it's like, yo. Well, what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So then you end up trying to like close these. And And yeah, and maybe when you close them, they like rip open again. I don't really know.
I don't know. Who knows?
But that's kind of like the general thing. It's like, okay, close the rifts, save Link because like he seemed important kind of vibe, and then that's basically the setup. But yeah, is it where does it I guess stand amongst the other Zelda games or what you kind of wanted in a Zelda game?
So
first time in Zelda too. Are you looking for her to have a return or what's?
Sure. I mean, to be honest, I guess inherently I enjoy playing as Zelda more with the echoes because it's like a much greater variety of gameplay where it's like every enemy. So to quickly kind of give context to the game, you are Zelda and you have this little rod that lets you essentially like learn to clone these things in the world. So like almost every enemy you can clone and then you can spawn to fight for you on your behalf. As well as things like chairs, tables, trampolines, plants. Like, you know, there's a huge variety of things that you can learn to clone. But I'm not going to talk about the one part, but like that's the sort of main mechanic in the game. And I think that's fun and fine, except and this could just be me. I find myself just really gravitating towards the same, you know, two enemies that I clone to fight on my behalf. It's like a really strong, like punchy guy or a really strong, like fish guy. And it's like, all right, cool. If I'm in the water, I'm going to summon the fish. If I'm on land, I'm going to summon the punchy guy.
What about, what's your, like, I guess that's your combat. Yeah. What's your like traversal kind of strategy been as well? Are you kind of using the same stuff?
Yeah, man. Well? Everyone's joking about it, but like the bed is like so OP. The bed trampoline combo is nasty. It gets you.
See, I haven't.
It gets you almost anywhere you need to go.
The bed that much.
Really?
I know I can use it because they teach. I think this game does a good job too of like teaching you what the things can do. Like especially early on, like the first few kind of rooms you're in or areas you're in, they're like, okay, now here's the bed. You got to get somewhere like far you could stack, and they even show the beds already stacked, which is like, why are they stacked like that? Whatever. Why are they already stacked like that? But it kind of shows that you can make like them into basically long steps. So they do a good job at showing that. Also, like this got covered the preview cycle, but I will say to echo that you get a lot of stuff.
You get a lot.
I do wish there was an easier way to like go about the selection, like a wheel or something. Because we're going left to right. I already have like a dozen things, and I just started the game.
Oh, it just gets worse. It gets so much worse.
And there's no favoriting. So you can sort, but you can't favorite. I want to be able to favorite and then sort to favorites, because you can only sort like recently learned, most used, most recently used, and then
it's
like something
type
else.
And then cost. And it's like, well, just get rid of those two things and give me a favorites instead.
Yeah. Cost is okay. Because so for cost, for context, you can summon up to 3 things, but that's only true in the sense that like you can use like, you have like 3, I don't know, points or like essences.
Energies.
Yeah. But then there's also energy, so I don't want to mix that up with something.
Fair.
You know, there's like
summon points.
3 nodules that you have, like conceptual nodules, you know? What do they call it? It's almost like 3 action points, and different things cost different action points. So it's like the first things you get are all only cost 1, and then like you mentioned, like tougher enemies, like the stronger enemies tend to cost at least like 2, maybe. I don't know if at one point, one cost 5 and you got like 12 point. Like I don't know how you know deep into that it's gonna get, but yeah, it's obviously I'm not as far in as you, but it's interesting hearing you're like, oh yeah, like for me the fun of this game is like not about getting it done. It's about how you can get it done. Because could I just kill these enemies? Sure. But why should I do that when I can light the field they're standing on fire? I've been lighting everything on fire in this game.
I mean, yeah, that's cool.
There's like a little fire enemy guy. He kind of looks like a little candle wick, but like he's like a ball with like a little flame on him. And you put him in the grass, and the grass is on fire. So it's like grass on fire, enemy on fire, enemy runs into other enemy, they're on fire. I'm burning the town down. That's what I'm doing. And I find that really fun, even though it takes longer than just like fighting them regularly.
No, it's fair. From our talk when we talked about Fields of Mystria, I am and I accept that I am a efficiency guy. All right. If I know I got to beat this dude or there's a field of enemies, maybe the fire is the quickest way because it can spread it and kill a whole bunch of it. But so far, it's just spawn big dude. He punches someone, 2 hits, they're down. I respawn him again. I don't even wait for him to attack twice. Like I spawn because because as soon as I spawn him, he like pretty quickly does like one hit, and I'll just spawn him again instead of waiting for his like idle animation to trigger and then wait. No, we're just quickly spawning these guys.
Do you feel like you're still like early-ish on, but do you feel like you're getting bored then of what you're doing because you're doing the same thing over and over again?
A little bit. I do think this game will. I feel like the real the secret sauce of this game is going to be like uncovered later, where it's like, oh well. Let me say this: at the very beginning of the game, again, once you get the trampoline and the bed, which is like both cost 1 items, you find them in your first hour or so of gameplay or something like that. It's like once you get that, you can effectively go anywhere in the map because you can get on top of the trees and then you can just run wherever you want. The sky is the limit there. So I don't think that the progression of the game is built around like blocking you from going places until you get a certain item that you can clone, and then that opens up the door kind of thing. I think it's more like almost like an Animal Welly kind of thing, where it's like, oh, something's gonna click for you at some point, where it's like, oh, these trees, I can clone the trees, and then that opens up this whole world or something. Like I think there's going to be some higher level discovery as a player that you make at some point that will then open up like a meta game in the game of like things you need to do.
I'd be surprised if it gets that deep. I just feel like it's still an all ages, adventure.
Well,
but
I think this is going to be like this is not like critical path kind of thing, but I think this is it seems like it's going to be the perfect game where it's like some mini game or some mini challenge is going to like present itself. Some magical rifts are going to fall from the sky for like bonus content, like the challenge levels kind of thing. And it's like, okay, this is where we eat now.
I think the secret sauce, because the combat is probably the least interesting thing in the game, but also combat in Zelda in general is not that interesting. Yeah. Like, it's kind of more just like at its best, it's spectacle. Like, it's like wild how, then you shoot the eye and then you fly up and then whatever, but it's not like that interesting of combat in general. Outside of like the creativity for things, which I guess it still has, but on a more simplistic level than like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. Because you can't like rig up stuff like how you can in like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. Because it's also like not as big of a play area. So like you only have like a square, 8x8 square. It's like, okay. I think the fun is like the puzzle solving, like in the dungeons.
Oh, the dungeons are great.
Which we do probably need to talk a little bit, even if we're just doing it vaguely, about my first puzzle that I struggled with in this game, which I
think we could talk almost. I don't think we need to hold back.
Okay, I think we can just timestamp like what the puzzle, in case people don't want the puzzle solution and things to it. But it's first dungeon, right? Because it's the first dungeon, basically.
I think so,
yeah. You walk up to a gate, and behind that gate, there's a statue that you can move. There's a chest that's in the background. And then there's a button that you need to like press, but the button is elevated. So it's like above like the statue can't just be moved over the button because the button is like high up. So you have to figure out, like, presumably the first thing that, you think when you look at the room, because you already moved some statues at this point. It's like, okay, gotta get the statue on the button. How do I do that? And I'm like, you can't go over the thing because they like block the ceiling in a way that you can't go over. And I kind of forgot about like all my echoes that I had. Like someone in chat was like, "Oh, you have echoes," and I'm like, "Don't tell me the answer." But also, yeah, you're right, I forgot. So then I'm thinking like, do I have to spawn like an enemy type and like get them to stand on the button? But that didn't work. And eventually, I like rig up a bunch of like, because you can only make once you make the amount of put out the amount of echoes you have, which is like. At early in the game, max 3, because if it's 1 cost each, the max you can put is 3 still, because you only have 3 points. And then after that, once you put out like a 4th, it automatically like disappears like the last one. But then sometimes the order that gets funky too. Anyway, whatever.
It's always the oldest thing.
Yeah, but depending on what structure you're trying to build, maybe it's like that doesn't end up serving what you're trying to make.
Sure.
So eventually, after like 7 minutes, I'm like, a few minutes into being like, okay, I'm really gonna lock in. If I don't figure this out, I'm gonna just ask for the answer. I make eventually a 2-table tall structure, and I'm able to slide the statue onto that structure and then move that entire structure next to the button and then slide the statue over. And then when I finished and I look up at chat and I look at you, no one solved it that way.
No one solved it that way.
So what did you do in this scenario?
what you were doing is building stairs effectively to put the statue on and like slowly bring the statue up to the button. What I think the game I think the game wanted you to solve it is to teach you that when you tether to something, it stays at like it tries to keep with your elevation. And so what I think the game wanted you to do, which is probably how most people solved it, is build stairs for Zelda to climb up after she's tethered to the thing. So she grabs the thing and then you yourself jump up some stairs. And that raises the statue up to the height of the button, and then you can like drop it on it.
Yeah.
But you know what? Hey, that's the beauty of a sandbox mechanics based game like this.
That wasn't your first reaction. Your first reaction was, quote, "I hate this game because it rewards your bad behavior."
Yeah, it rewards your bad behavior. It gave you the chest when you did it wrong, but you did it right. You didn't do it wrong. You just did it in your Janet way.
I did it in my own way.
Yeah.
I walked my own path. But yeah, it's really, really fun.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the last thing that like I want to say, obviously, want your final comments as well, is that this is an interesting game this early on. You know, it's obviously early to comment on it holistically, but in a year that is so stacked with incredible games, like this does not feel like, okay, this is not like game of the year or anything like that.
No.
But at the same time, it's low key a must play, but it's like a must play that has a ceiling to me, where it's like you're not gonna. And maybe the game opens up in a wild way later.
Yeah.
But I don't think this game is gonna be like, oh my god, it was so good. I think it's just like a really, really good to great time. It's like like you're gonna play this and like you're gonna have a fun time. It's gonna be interesting, and like anyone that likes Zelda games should be playing this game. But it's not like it's gonna, I think it does have like a little bit of a ceiling in that it's like just a little bit more simplistic, but like I think this is like a fantastic title and definitely curious to see if Zelda's gonna keep having adventures or if it would always be the ecosystem or if they're going for maybe different types of magic and the next one will be called like something of something and that indicates like what her new fancy ability is gonna be and that'll always gonna have this problem solving undertone. But yeah, I think it's super enjoyable. I'm even enjoying the stuff with the they show this again, the trailers of where you can kind of like use Link's sword, but it has like a timer, and I'm like, that sounds kind of whack. But now that I see how they're implementing it, I'm like, you know what? This is actually really valid, and I think that's something that really speaks to like Nintendo's design sensibilities, where
it's a good escape hatch.
Yeah. And also, though, there's some stuff that like you need it for, but then there's other stuff where I'm like, actually, I didn't need it because I could have went this other way. So I think it's super fun in that way. But what are some final echoes of wisdom you have to impart on everybody?
So my only things really, like you said, I'm having a really good time with the game. It's fun. I'm liking the puzzles. I'm liking the dungeons. The story is interesting. I'm legitimately curious to see more about like the lore behind things, but I know they're never gonna get like so nitty gritty that everything like that. Like it'll satisfy me to that degree kind of thing. But I think it'll be fun. I'm enjoying it. I think the Link's Awakening aesthetic is super cute.
Yeah, same.
I think the only thing is that, man, this game really shows that we need a Switch 2 because it performs so bad.
Really? I feel like the performance is not that bad.
Stuttery for me. I walk into like a field and it like will just freeze for like 2 seconds.
Oh wow. I haven't had anything that bad. Do you have a OG Switch like day one?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like mine performs necessarily better, but maybe mine just being newer. I have the Animal Crossing one.
Maybe.
I only felt like it hitched like twice for me. Link's Awakening was hitching all the time.
Maybe I feel like I'm getting maybe than what they were talking about.
I felt like you played
really
some of
bad.
Link's Awakening.
I played all of Link's Awakening.
Yeah,
I didn't have problems with that.
Oh, this is karma, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know. Link's Awakening
now.
ran like trash for me. I was like, this game's like, what?
It's rough.
I will say the hitching is basically just the overworld, which is a lot of the game. I'm not trying to say it's okay because it's like half the game's the overworld, half the game's the dungeons. But like, yeah, I don't feel like it performs as bad as Link's Awakening did, but I guess maybe mileage might vary because you're saying like we basically are having flipped experiences.
Yeah.
Where Link's Awakening was fine for you, hitched a lot for me.
Man. Yeah, this one's it's real rough. It is jarringly rough. I'm like, man, I can't believe they put this out. Like,
oh, that's how I felt about Link's Awakening. I was like, I previewed Link's Awakening and I literally asked them like, are you guys done? And
like,
I'm like, are you gonna?
It's like
I said, are you gonna fix?
phase.
Yeah, I was like, are you guys gonna fix the frame rate? And they said no. I mean, In their defense, I probably didn't ask it exactly that way to the Treehouse people. Leave the Treehouse people alone, Nintendo. But I was like, oh, is what I'm seeing what I'm going to see later? Like, yeah, like, ooh, okay.
Yep.
Choices were made, but yeah, that's Nintendo.
So yeah, if you have like the OLED Switch or a newer,
just an update, the ACNH one,
buy of the console or something like that, maybe you'll be fine and you don't have these problems. But for me, it is rough. Not enough to make me put the game down, but it is enough for me to really notice it. So
that's fair.
I don't know. We'll see.
And now for the not game section, catching up on media, like movies, TV shows, that kind of thing. Starting with the fact that we decided to go and part rewatch and then also continue the Meet the Parents trilogy. We both watched Meet the Parents and Meet the Fockers around like when they came out.
Yeah.
But we never watched Little Fockers, so we're
honest, if I'm being very honest with you, I don't even think I knew that Little Fockers was a thing.
You didn't know it existed?
It sounds familiar when you read the trilogy names out, but if you told me to write all the movies of the Fockers, I would have not wrote Little Fockers.
Wow.
I'd have been like, oh yeah, they Meet the Parents and Meet the Fockers. That's it.
Yeah, Meet the Fockers was probably I think that might have been the first one I saw. I think I saw that maybe out of order. Because that one came out in 2004. And I'm pretty sure I watched it after it had come out. Because in 2004, I was in 4th grade. I don't think I watched it. Now, it's not even like wow, everyone was looking out for me. Like, I just don't think I watched it. Because I'm guessing that because what, 4th grade, what are you, like 9, 10, 11, 12, 13,
I was
14,
7.
15. So...
No. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of when the first movie
So that means Edwin was like 15, my brother Edwin. So maybe he watched it because, 15, it's not crazy if you had watched Meet the It's PG-13 movie. So it's like, okay.
Because I think it was 2000, 2004, and then Little Fockers in 2010 or something.
Yeah. Because we kind of watched like similar movies, but I think Meet the Fockers got to me late for that reason. Because it's like, okay, I'm a kid. I don't think I would have like been able to absorb it in the same way. But like, I probably didn't wait that much longer. But maybe I watched it when I was like 12 or 13 or something. I don't know.
It sounds like a teen kind of.
Yeah, like it was up there with like Wedding Crashers, like I watched that probably like a little younger than ideal, but nothing like crazy. And that movie's not that like it's not that raunchy of a movie. It's maybe a bit raunchier than Meet the Parents and Fockers because there's like some topless scenes, but like it's if you watch the TV version, and it's nothing like crazy, but it's like
I remember it so
But I also might have watched like it on TV at one point where it's like the edited versions of those movies. So that's why I watched it like, when I was younger, but maybe not right when I wasn't in the theater, for Meet the Fockers or anything like that. And when Little Fockers came out, I remember like hearing about it and kind of being like, y'all got the sauce for that? Like, I don't know. Because that was 2010. So we were already in high school at the time.
Yeah.
So it's like, I was definitely old enough to watch the movie. It's just like, I'm like, I don't know if that's going to be good. And I didn't like remember this, but apparently my brother Edwin had watched it in theaters. So he was like there and I don't know, either like watched it on his own with his friends or something. Yeah, he was
day one Focker.
Maybe not day one Focker, yeah. And he was like, yeah, it wasn't good. But he kind of kept it mostly to himself. He was like, oh, it's not as good as the other ones. But that's what I heard from everybody. I was a little shocked is dramatic, but I was a little shocked with how much worse it was from the other movies. Because I thought it would be like, when people said
the fall off was noticeable.
Yes. When people said, oh, it's not as good as the other ones, I thought like it would be a little worse. Like kind of how some people, the Ocean's movies, for instance, like there's some debate on like, I don't like the one with the
dancing.
Or the laser maze. Even though the laser maze was awesome. The one because Julia Roberts is Julia Roberts. Like that thing was dumb to me. But I think that movie is still pretty good. Like if I had like watching that after watching the other ones, I wouldn't be like, wow, it's way worse. But I'd be like, oh, I don't like it as much as the other ones that I watched. This was like quite the drop. I was like a little shocked. But because we wanted to watch Little Fockers, we also rewatched Meet the Parents and then Meet the Fock. Is it Meet the Parents? Yeah, Meet the Parents, Meet the Fockers.
Parents, Meet the Fockers, and Little Fock. Also, I wish they kept with the Meet the I don't know who. I don't know how they could have named it, but I wish they did.
Meet the Little Fockers or something. Like, I don't know. And instead, like, when I look at the, I Googled Little Fockers to see, like, the date and everything. And on one of the, like, key art pieces for it, they have Meet the Parents and then, like, a box around this is Little Fockers. I don't know. It was, so we bought it. We ended up just buying it on Apple TV because if we had thought ahead, we would have just gotten it from the library to save the money. But it was like, well, do we want to like rent each individually? It's like the same price, like just buy the collection.
I am also in my buy movies era where if there's a chance that I'm going to watch this movie again at some point in my life, I just shoot to buy it because it costs like $2 more to buy it than to rent it. Sometimes.
Yeah, and I think there's a pretty high chance that we're watching like at least Meet the Parents and Meet the Fockers.
Meet the Parents and Meet the Fockers are great. Yeah, I will definitely watch those again.
Yeah, Little Fockers, no, I'm good. One and done for Little Fockers.
Unfortunately, yes.
How long had it been since you watched the other one? Well, you said, did you ever watch Meet the Fockers then?
Yes.
Okay, you did. But you just didn't know about Little Fockers. Okay, cool. You like forgot that existed.
I think maybe even like you, Meet the Fockers was probably the one I watched first. And then I later went back and watched Meet the Parents.
Yeah.
And this is like, my grandma was a big DVD person. She had
you say like a big Meet the Fockers stand?
she really did like Meet the Fockers. Like that was like one of her favorite movies.
Okay, cool.
And so like, but she was the one who introduced me to a lot of like media growing up. Because again, I was all games and Game Boy cartoons growing up. But then she introduced me to cinema with Meet the Fockers.
How old do you think you were when you watched Meet the Fockers?
If I had to guess, probably in that like 9 to 12 range.
I think so too.
And it's like one of those, did I ever sit down and just watch the movie? No, but it would be one of those like, oh, she puts it on.
Yeah.
I'm, sitting with her in the living room. Maybe I got a toy or my game or something like that. And like, I'm passively watching it. You know what I mean? It was definitely like, similar with like, which is way different, Sopranos. Like, I saw the first scene of Sopranos that way, where it's like, oh yeah, my grandma will put it on because she loved that show. And I'm passively kind of taking it in. I don't know if I've ever
texted Edwin to see if he'll respond for the like how old was I, because he probably remembers vaguely. I'm guessing like end of elementary school, beginning of high school, like somewhere in that kind of range. Again, it's really not like that wild of a film. It like Meet the Fockers alludes to sex a good amount, but you don't actually see any. There's not like full on sex scenes in it or anything like that. Yeah. So I remember liking those. Same deal. Liked Meet the Fockers a little bit more than Meet the Parents, but they were both really good. And it was a fun rewatch. We had the pizza. You made the pizza from scratch. You had the wings too. I think with that
pizza and wings.
Pizza and wings. And it was great. And it was fun because I remember both of them really well. And I feel like you remembered them a little less well. So it was nice seeing you kind of remember like the scenes, and they're just like really good movies. And then came Little Fockers, which did we watch them both like in this? I know we watched Meet the Parents. The next day we watched Meet the Fockers, and then I think we watched Little Fockers that night.
Yeah, I think we did it back
just to knock it out.
Man, the drop off was noticeable.
This is our Little Fockers review 14 years later. Now that the dust is settled. It was honestly like terrible is a little dramatic, but like
it was the Starfield.
Honestly, God, which one's worse? Oh, that's such an interesting question.
If I had to redo one, I'm doing
one is like shorter than the other.
If I had to rewatch Little Fockers 10 times to equate the time it takes to be
Or I think if I needed to play like, because Little Fockers, I think they're all like 90-minute films. I would definitely rather play 90 minutes of Starfield than watch Meet the Fockers.
I'd watch that movie again.
Then watch Little Fockers again. You'd watch Little Fockers over 90 minutes? 90 minutes, I'm back in Starfield. I'm walking around. Yeah, the time going to go by quick.
I feel like 20 minutes in, you're going to be like, I should have chosen the movie.
No, because I just... I don't think we need to do spoiler warnings for Little Fockers, but literally, I hated so much about that movie. And like, first of all, I hated the cheating, not cheating storyline in general. Like, that's kind of like a skin crawl plot point for me. Like, I just can't stand like watching people like pseudo fuck up their lives or like get cheated on. It's like, that's not like, I don't know. It's not an exciting storyline for me. I think especially too with like, it was very over the top, like of the the girl who's like, she's immediately like, I think they had no nuance. Like it's like they had like the plot line. It's like Greg / Gaylord Fokker, like he's still in medicine, but he's like kind of overseeing like the part of the department. So he's like the person that like the pharmaceutical representatives will be like, oh, can you like do you want to do this like collab and stuff? And he's or he'll do this thing for like your hospital, and he's like, oh, whatever. And it's like, oh, instead there's like a hot young woman, And so immediately he's like folding, and immediately she's like, "Oh my God, you're so great." And I'm like, and obviously the first thing, I think they could have done so many funny things and just didn't, because they could have definitely played up. Because on one hand, like, oh, she's flirting with him because she's trying to get the sale, you know?
Yeah,
so I think it would have been funnier if it was kind of like, you thought I was interested, you know, like kind of like a I think what this movie really lacked that the other movies had was subversions, and also like a form of a stitch in time saves nine. Because like so much of Meet the Parents, Meet the Fockers is if you're just more honest more quickly, like these things don't have to compound, you know? And in Meet the Parents, he's like trying to like be the good son-in-law, and he keeps like messing up, and then the cover up is worse than the crime is kind of the theme of so many like Meet the Parents, Meet the Fockers, and all of that. And in Little Fockers, there wasn't a cover up or a crime, so we were just kind of like doing stuff.
It wasn't until you said that I realized, like, yeah, you're right, because like the whole, you know, with the pharmaceutical sales rep or whatever, the whole like culmination of that whole like storyline with her was that like they woke up the next day and she was like, "Yeah, dog, I was tripping. I'm sorry." And then he like just left to go like be
for his kid's birthday party. Yeah, and like he never another part of like Meet the Parents, Meet the Fockers is someone, usually the dad, you know, the CIA dad. Kind of finding out something, and then what he finds out, he realizes like he messes up, you know. So it's like everyone kind of messes up, where he's like, "Oh man, I thought you were, you know," I forget what the first kind of like, oh, like, you know, like with the first one, it's a small thing, but he's like, "Oh, this guy isn't who he says he is." Like he never actually and then the other one, they have different accusations where like the dad is like on his ass, and like the son-in-law has shit to cover up, but it's not this thing the dad is on his ass about, and then they both kind of come clean and kind of reach a resolution. And that's true in both movies, but it feels different in each movie because one's about him and one's about his parents, and it's kind of this push and pull of like, "Hey, who are you for this guy?" And this didn't have that tension because it was like he wasn't really trying to please anybody. He was just kind of living his life, so it was so mundane. It was like, I mean,
well,
like
he was trying to please him to be the Godfucker, like he was trying to be the head of the Burns Focker empire,
because like the dad like has like a heart attack scare where he's like, "I need someone else who's gonna take," and then there is like a cheating through line with like the other son-in-law cheats, so he's like, "Oh,
they're like hyper aware of, hypersensitive to the act of cheating and everything."
But then like they just don't do anything with like the cheating or the like romance between like the you know, I forgot the name of his wife, but like Greg and his wife or anything like that. There's no like funny things, and then even the things that they try to make funny are kind of just treading old ground, like the wife of the CIA dad, like, yeah, she wants to role play because it's like their love life isn't exciting enough. It's like, didn't you kind of fix this in the last movie? You know what I mean? It's like, not that you're never obviously you can have a problem that you're always working on, but it's like, this reveal isn't that interesting because it's like whatever. Like the closest to funny was like him taking like the erectile dysfunction pills, and then like Greg needing to like give him like a shot, and then the like little kid walking in on that. That was, I would say that specific moment was a little funny. Yeah. And I did like what they did with the kids trying out for their like private school, because then that was also emphasis on the kids. Like, in which ways are the kids like, you know, the joke is like the fuckers thing. It's like, how are the kids kind of like in the drama? And that was the closest they came to like looking at the kids and who they are and how they're intermingled with the drama.
Yeah. I kind of wish they played a bigger part, like for...
And the girl snitching on the dad about that. Oh, he's with this girl at the hotel. But he didn't have like, it didn't, Andy, but like it didn't have any kick to it. Like they didn't do anything with anything. The ex-fiance coming back, Owen Wilson, and it's like, they didn't really do anything with that either. It's a little funny that he had the lower back tattoo, but not that funny. Like, I don't know.
It was pretty funny. I thought it was, I especially liked Robert De Niro's character Jack being like, "Oh, you know, it was really well done."
Yeah, it was a beautiful photo of you. Pam, I think is her name. Yeah, Pam Cake. Pam Cake.
You know,
I will say it was also funny, like having them fight, I think was nice. Like Greg and
funny,
I forgot the name of the dad. Like
Jack.
Okay, Greg and Jack fighting.
Because there's little Jack.
Yeah. That was funny, but like they didn't know, like that damn cat Jinxie. They didn't have shit to do for Jinxie. Jinxie was brought out. It's like, you know, when it's like almost like, you know, when like a player is really old, but they like have them play like one last game in the stadiums, like yay, like kind of a send off. That was yeah, because Jinxie had like one moment. It's like, oh, it kind of almost ate the lizard, and then kind of like Jinxie left.
Man.
Jinxie was washed in this movie. So yeah, like it just didn't have. This felt like a film where they're like, we're doing another one. Maybe they couldn't afford all the actors in the same way because in like the like I had so many problems. And the Jack as like the ex-CIA guy, him being nerfed was like one of the worst things they could do for these films, where it's like he's calling in all this stuff and they're like, yeah, you've been retired for a long time. You can probably just Google this. Like that is a little funny because you can just Google it, you know, but it's like, well, he doesn't have, part of it was like the wild power he wielded as an ex-CIA agent and the mystique.
Yeah.
Now he's just an old man on Google. He's looking at like fake MySpace pages for the girls' photos. I like that
though, because that's like this is one of the few movies that like show the I guess ramifications of like modern technology and like
okay, I'll give you that.
Like, you know what I mean? Like before he had to do that, he had to call in on this secure line and say, hey, this is my agent number, give me this information. Whereas like now the movie's like, yo, dude, you could just Google it. Why? It doesn't matter that you're ex-CIA anymore because all the information, all the power you had is just a Google away now. And it's like, oh yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I liked it. I did not love it by any means.
You liked it.
Let me see. Actually, I don't remember what I gave it.
So on the Isaiah scale, you give this a 3?
On the Isaiah scale, I gave it a high 2.
Okay, because I'm like, I don't see you giving this a and not because it's actually,
just short.
Personally, I will say it's bad. I think it's a bad movie. Also, so many things left undone. He never came clean to his wife, but part of it, like, it just didn't have any of the constructions.
We didn't have anything, to come clean about. Like that was the whole thing, because he was not cheating.
Hey, some drugged out bitch comes at you, you better come clean to me about it. What do you mean he ain't got nothing to come clean?
That's fair.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like,
officer. This one right here. Isaiah watched his mind. Okay, I'm gonna let it go. Like, Isaiah watched Little Fockers and said Greg did nothing wrong.
In his mind, he didn't do anything wrong. He was just working, trying to provide for his family, impress his father-in-law, do this, that, and the third.
Well, the reason I mentioned that is I think at one point in the movie he does say like, "Oh, I'm gonna tell like Pam, set it straight with Pam," and he never did. Like, so you just don't see any stuff.
I think it was like after he got to the party, she was like, "Oh, like where have you been? Like what's going on?" He was like, "I'll just explain it to you later."
Yeah, but then like
we never see him explain it, but maybe he does. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah,
we don't know.
And like the Jack finding the photo where it's like she kisses him, which is like, oh, she kisses, but it's like she actually like, you know. In the context, like the photo looks way worse than the context of the photo.
Yeah.
But in the other movies, I feel like that would have been a big thing, and he never reveals that to anybody. He kind of like, it's weird. He takes this like high road of like, I'm not gonna like snitch on you anymore, but then still wants to fight him at the party. It's just, but then still does the, oh, I know you're telling the truth because I touched your pulse. It's just, it is sloppy work, and y'all, if you didn't have anything to say, you didn't have to say anything at all. You know what I mean? Like. The drop off was quite high.
It was a big drop off. I won't deny that. But
now we know, because I have always wondered. I'm like, I never did fit. I think too, like, and this kind of comes into like our overarching topic of just like the pro of finishing things. Like with watching Little Fockers, I never went into that thinking like this is going to be as good as these other two movies. But I did hope it wouldn't be that big of a drop off. It was worse than I thought. But now at least I finished it because. It's like, let's just complete it. Now, here's a question. If they have a fourth movie, are we watching it? Like, are we just stuck with this, like... I don't think they're going to, because it's been 14 years.
Yeah, I think it's way too long safe now. To do... Unless somehow it's like Grandpa Jack. Or like Great-Grandpa Jack. I don't know. It'd be weird.
Yeah, De Niro's getting up there.
Yeah. There is the other De Niro movie we talked about where, like, it's a similar role where he's, like, somebody's parents and they're coming to meet. And he's, like, from... like a foreign country, and so like his customs are kind of like presumably the setup
it's called About My Father. I think.
Where it's like he like kills their like family emu or something like that, and, like cooks and eats. I don't know. The trailer seemed interesting.
Yeah, it definitely
it gave Meet the Parents.
It was definitely
energy.
Meet the Parents, Meet the Fockers coded.
Yeah.
Did a quick Google. The Rotten Tomatoes is only 37, but I think it was also low on Meet the Parents and Meet the Fockers. The Rotten Tomatoes.
Yes. Yeah, I think Meet the Parents was high.
Yeah, and Meet the Fockers was low. Like Meet the Fockers was like in the 30s, and Meet the Parents was in
like
the
87,
85.
Something like that.
So here's something, and maybe this is speaking from a place of ignorance. Maybe I'll eat my words if we end up watching About My Father. But it's hard for me to imagine it being worse than Little Fockers. I'm not saying it's gonna be as good as the other two, but like Little Fockers it's like, have you ever seen someone have an identity crisis with their IP? That's Little Fockers. Like, they're like, we kind of know what makes this funny.
Again, I think the big thing is
not
just
really.
The name. I think if they renamed, if it wasn't called Little Fockers, then the through
Little
line
Cheaters
would have
especially.
made more sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there were many things
Yeah.
that did not work out for that, but we finished it, and you know what? No one can take that from us.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
It's good to find typo on things. Speaking of which, you finished Attack on Titan without me.
yes, I did. Without you, it was.
Which it's hard to feel betrayed because here's the thing. It would have been nice for appearances for you to put one last offer out there, but
for the record, I would like for you to say how much of Attack on Titans have you watched?
I think maybe like 2 seasons. How many seasons are there?
There's
I'm scared.
4-ish seasons.
I think like one. I definitely at least the first season, and I think I finished the second season.
I don't think you finished the second season.
What are you basing that on? You I had a life before. I had a life before you, and that life had Attack on Titan in it.
I think we watched the first season, and you were like,
"Oh, I watched
this
it without you
mess."
before." Like I started this before I like met you, I think.
But then we started over.
Yeah, we did start over at one point, I guess.
Yeah, I think you only ever watched the first. You watched the first season twice. I think that's where your
Which
second season is coming
great season.
from.
No, I did watch. I did watch some of
fantastic.
Let me see the second season. What's going on here? Because that's the season where they did get into like the political intrigue. No.
Yes.
It's I don't want to spoil too many things, but like, I definitely was in that second season for sure. Did I finish it? I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
But I was definitely in that second season. I'm looking at some of these thumbnails and I'm like,
you never saw what was in the basement.
No, yeah.
And I think that was the second season.
Really?
I think it was the end of the second season.
I don't think so.
Maybe it was the third
I think
season.
that's further because
they did the seasons really weird where like they would come out with some of it and then take a break and then do the second half of the season.
They were holding that fucking
stuff.
box above my head for so long. But you finished that and you finished Demon Slayer. So
caught up on Demon Slayer.
Caught up on
Still
Demon
waiting
Slayer.
for the final season to drop.
So
hopefully soon.
Obviously, no spoilers because this is less old and more important than the 14-year-old Little Fockers.
Yeah.
But are you happy you finished it? Were you satisfied with the ending?
Yes. I wish I watched it sooner because in my head. So the way they did it again, last season, it came out in effectively 3 parts where they did like the first half and then they had a little break, I think. And then they had the second half and they had a little break. And then they finished it with 2 specials, they called them, where it's like one's an hour and a half and then the other's like an hour. So like 2.5 hours worth of basically movies.
Sure.
Or like movie length kind of like episodes. And I think I stopped right before the specials, apparently. Like while I did a rewatch of like basically the second half and I was like, all of this is very familiar. I've seen all this. I know all this. And then I got to the part where the specials start and I'm like, oh, I guess I could have just started here.
Yeah.
Anyways, I definitely went in wondering how are they possibly going to tie everything up, even in this like 2.5 hours worth of content. They do tie things up. I'm satisfied with the ending, but I am not a fan of the ending. I think what they did makes sense for the trajectory that how things went. But I was not happy with how it ended. I won't get into details or anything like that.
Is there something that you could compare it against, like emotionally? It's kind of a tough question, but is it like How I Met Your Mother?
I was literally thinking How I Met Your Mother, where it's like, it makes sense. Like the way it ended makes sense with the through line of how, like, of the story being told and what we know and how we know it needs to end. But I wasn't happy with it. It felt like Barney and Robin, they got divorced and now he ends up with her. It's like, okay, I knew that kind of almost needed to happen. Like I can see how that could be the ending.
Yeah.
But I don't like that that's how you executed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
So I think that is, off the top of my head, that's probably a good equivalent.
Do you have my classic sandwich question? Answer that. What an ending it's better than, and barely better than, and barely worse than?
The thing is, even with that, it's still probably better than probably most endings. Because I feel like most endings are very lackluster. Ooh.
I don't know if there's like an anime comparison
I don't have
that'd be ideal, but
an easy one.
Okay, but you felt like pretty decent with it.
Yeah. I'm glad I watched it.
Bad.
I'm glad I finished it. I wish I did it sooner just so it wasn't like I didn't drag it on.
Lingering.
You know what I mean?
It was your basement box.
Yeah. I was waiting to see what was in the basement of
My
this
dad
show.
locked this thing. I'm like, rip the walls off. What's going on? I don't understand.
You can turn into a Titan.
I didn't understand that. Spoilers. You don't know that until later. That's why I didn't want to mention, because that was a cool reel at the time.
But it's also like, I don't know, 4 episodes into the show.
It's way further than that.
Really?
It's in season 2 that you learn that. I'm pretty sure.
No.
Yeah. When? How do I get? When do you? When? Oh, maybe it is. Let's see. When does become okay?
The first episode ends with
got you.
his mom dying.
Yeah, I know.
Like that's all the first. To me, that is like the majority of like what is happening here. And then they very quickly pick up the next episode with them in like scout training. It is
season 1, but it's episode 7.
Okay. All right.
So it's
7 of like what? Like 12 episodes a season?
Now I gotta find something else. How many episodes are in there? 25. No, that can't be right. 25 episodes in season 1? No way. Maybe there are.
That sounds right. Because there's like 87 or something in the whole thing. So
yeah, maybe
that sounds right. Unfortunately,
that's wild.
Yeah, again, it is not news.
Yeah, there are 20. Why are there so many episodes? Okay, maybe I didn't watch as much as I thought I did. I don't know. Maybe you're right. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe they got into the politics somewhere in there.
But yes,
that's okay. So yeah. Why can't you just turn into a Titan and fucking rip the walls off? I don't know. That was the problem that I had. I wasn't sure how much of a reveal that was, so I didn't want to.
Yeah.
Because it was very cool. Like finding that out was like. Wow.
That was really cool. It was a really good reveal.
I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
There's other stuff that's also fun reveals as well about related to the Titans and all that. But yeah. So while it would have been just for my ego, it would have been nice for you to do one last double check. I would have let you go without me. It would have been nice.
I'll rewatch it with you whenever you want.
Yeah, I know you'll like kind of latch on there casually. Yeah, we'll see when I get to it. I'm not in a rush, especially now that you've already left me. So what's the point?
I was already left you. What do you mean?
What?
I had already left you. There's not.
Well, I thought we were gonna like Astro Bot it. Go hand in hand across the ending. But
it would take you forever.
I'm gonna be dumb and make I love my themes. I'm gonna make like fucking themed Titan sandwiches and shit. I'm gonna get the meats to make like the muscles. Yeah, I'm gonna do my Attack on Titan charcuterie board. Yeah. Oh gosh. Demon Slayer's going good though.
Yeah. This was the for those who know, I caught up on the Hashira training arc, which is a whole season of basically just setup. But what it sets up for, I'm in it now. Like this final season is about to jump off from the rip, and I'm there for it. So yeah, it's not really much you can say without either spoiling or ruining something, or like if you don't know it. Again, if you watched up to the Hashira training arc, I can't spoil anything during the Hashira training arc because literally nothing happens outside of training. But what it sets up for during that arc is fantastic. So it'll be good. I'm excited.
Do you think it's going to be better than the ending of Attack on Titan? Do you have? Is there a layout for like the last season drops whenever, or like do you know anything about what's going on?
There is. I don't know it.
Okay.
Because I have so much other stuff that I'm trying to catch up on that I just don't even bother. Like I am it's out. Okay, is it fully out, or are they still releasing episodically? Okay, they're done. All right, now I'm gonna watch it. Now it's on my radar. Once I can actually binge it
for a season though. Per season. Okay, cool. That makes sense. But yeah, continuing with our catching up on media, talking about things that we want to catch up on next. So kind of like what's in the queue.
What's on the docket?
We definitely need to just do Ted Lasso. I think that's probably the easiest lift because there's not going to be any drama. There's drama because Ted Lasso is a little dramatic, but it's more of a comedy. While The Bear is, which is not also the list, it's a drama that's also it's drama first, comedy second. Yeah. And Ted Lasso is the inverse.
Yeah, I would say it's comedy first.
Yeah.
Drama second.
To be clear on what I mean by drama, I mean like the word drama less than the genre drama. Because I know The Bear's genre is quite literally drama, even though it did win the comedy award, which that was a big thing for that. People were like, oh, can it, whatever, right? But I mean more like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? Like the little stresses. Like in Ted Lasso, those stresses are like very mild because it's like not really. It just has that jolly tone.
Yeah.
So even though it's like, oh, oh my god, like this thing happened with Nate or this thing with this couple, and like, ooh, like what's happening? Like
you can say the phrase, oh, this is the serious episode of the season in Ted Lasso. And
yeah,
it's like, oh yeah, no, that tracks because all the other episodes are fairly lighthearted and fun.
Like there's interesting twists, but I'm not gonna be like watching Ted Lasso stressed out. Correct. Like that just doesn't. Even if there's something like, oh wow, like what? Because I think because it's a comedy, like it moves really fast, so even like the reveals get revealed quick. Like they're introduced like actually like. This like reveal is going to happen soon, and then it happens like 5 minutes later. So it's like you don't really have to hang in suspense. While The Bear, we only watched like 1 or 2 episodes, but you can just tell it's a little more intense. Not wildly intense, but it's a little. It's not like freaking Severance or anything intense, but it's
which that's also coming out this year.
Next year. That soon-ish.
I'll look it up.
That I am binging for sure. Y'all can come through if you want. I don't care. I'm clearing my schedule. If I need to, I'm gonna take that next day off. I do not care.
Yep. Okay. The beginning of the year it starts.
Well, happy birthday to me. That's gonna be great. Yeah. Do you know if they are dropping all at once or?
According to this, it's like weekly, which is very unfortunate. But,
that's kind of a like.
Hey, the end of March will be all.
Well, the reason that
I
know it's like a big debate of like weekly versus whatever, and I don't really want to have a big horse in that race because honestly, I found the conversation between weekly or not annoying. Like everyone's made the same points over and over again. But I will say for this show specifically, the reason I'm a little bummed about it being weekly is I know it's so good that I'm like, F it, I gotta watch it.
Honestly, we might even have to just watch it weekly.
Yeah, because and I don't want spoilers. Yeah. But I loved watching season 1 as just like at my own pace, and I didn't watch it all in one sitting. But there was a point.
Like 2 sittings.
Yes, because there was a point where I'm like, fuck it. I'm just like, we're staying up. You can go to bed if you want to, and you're like, hell no, I gotta see.
Yeah, man.
You got to watch me. It was so exciting, and you don't get that when it's week to week because. So I just have to, like, it'd be like I forgot what episode it was that one of the early episodes, something happens at the very end of the episode where I'm like, oh my god, I have to see what's next, and not being able to, I'm like, I don't want to do that. So that's a little bit of a bummer, but that will be exciting. Yeah, and then another thing, you're the only one who watched anime, Isaiah. I have Delicious in Dungeon. I have 2 episodes. Yeah, I got to kind of figure out what my vibe is going to be because I don't have a lot of time in my day where this fits in. Because what I used Delicious in Dungeon for was there was like a night where I'm like, you know what? I kind of just want to relax on my own. No offense, just kind of like you're doing your thing. I want to do my own little thing. We had like the at the time I had these nice little sort of like LED lights in our room where I can like set the nice color. We got to like buy a new one so that we can like set the little colors. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, I'm in the big lights off and I got my little lamp on and I'm like sitting in bed and I'm chilling and I got my laptop and I'm just like watching a show on my laptop. And I don't know, I'm not always in that mood. I'm kind of rarely in that mood because like, I don't know, usually I'm doing other stuff. I'm on TikTok. I'm, doing chores and I have something in the background. So yeah, that's kind of what's halted my progression, but I think it's not terribly long. I can do it while like eating some snacks or something since it's for the food vibes. I just love a theme. And then this will be an interesting, it'll be interesting too, because since you already read the manga, you can maybe just kind of more casual, because I felt like the series seemed like it really lent itself to like a more casual viewing. Like I'm like 2 episodes in and I'm like, I think you could watch like episode 3 and you wouldn't like have really any like maybe a few questions, but it's like really chill. So that's
looking
at
it now, I was kind of curious to see like, oh, how in line is the manga versus the anime? And the manga seems to only really go up to episode 3.
Oh,
maybe 4, depending on how much I'm remembering.
Of like, what is it? Issue 1 of the manga?
Yeah, okay. Issue 1. Which I do want to read more of that. I'm actually kind of enjoying reading it. I haven't read a manga in like a long time. So maybe I'll, while we're out at the library today or something, maybe I'll look and see if they have it.
You know what would be kind of fun? Maybe it's like a little too much to commit to, but I do think it'd be interesting. Like if I watch it and then you finish reading it and then we flip.
Oh,
and then I read it and then you watch it and then we like kind of talk about
that. Could be cool.
How was that different or not?
I think your experience would probably be a little bit better just from I find it's always nicer going from video media to reading media because you at least have names and pronunciations and everything. Like I can take the words I'm reading and put it into the like mind picture I have of things. Whereas when you're reading and then all of a sudden now they're showing you what actually is, it's always harder for me to like recollect those things.
My brother Edwin did respond to how old was I when I watched Meet the Fockers, and he said probably too young. I think when it came out, like on TBS and stuff. So when I was like, he said probably 0506. So like a year or two after it came out. Like, yeah, when it hit like TV and stuff.
Yeah, I can see that. So,
but if you're watching the TV edit, I mean, again, Meet the Fockers specifically, it has a lot of adult content, but you don't see a lot of it. There's not a lot of adult visuals.
Yeah.
I think the most like visually like adult thing is like him with the fake boob. That's like kind of adult. And then like the parents kind of like hooking up, but they're not like naked. It's just that they're like positioned in a sexual way. You know, it's like, oh, the other whipped cream and stuff like that kind of thing. But yeah, so you know, too young, but old enough to know that like this is generally funny, even if I maybe didn't get like the deeper. Again, a lot of the comedy didn't also lend itself to like you don't need to have understood sex to find Meet the Fockers funny.
Yes.
Other than because to know that like, oh, it's awkward that like he feels awkward that his parents like have this like sexual relation, or that his mom teaches like sex to old people. Like just knowing that, oh, that's awkward. Like you don't have to know like the details of like what sex is to know that that's like awkward, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
It's really funny, man. Go watch Meet the Fockers. Meet the Parents and Meet the Fockers.
Yeah, Meet the Parents, Meet the Fockers, like yeah, like I know some people I guess like don't like those kinds of movies, but I'm like, I don't understand. I feel like your life isn't as fun if you don't enjoy those movies. They're just good times. And then you have some stuff on your docket as well.
Mine is mostly I'm kind of in just like my anime catch up era. I need to watch Slime season 3. So that time I got reincarnated as a slime. Season 3, very long title. I need to watch, which maybe I don't need to watch it based on, you know, if we ask Barrett, for example, I'm sure he'll be like, oh, dude, you don't need to watch it. My Hero Academia, the latest season from that. And then Solo Leveling. I've been told by a lot of people that Solo Leveling is dope. The characters in there are sweet. The fight's sweet. The animation's cool. I heard nothing but great things about it. It's on my list of things to kind of watch. And then, which I guess that's not really a finish, so maybe that doesn't even belong. But then finishing, I think it was pronounced Aoshi. It's like a soccer anime that I started with Edwin. That at some point we need to come together, find a weekend or day or something, and like at least finish season 1. And then if he's just not interested anymore, if he is really interested, then we schedule a season 2 rewatch or something like that. However many seasons there are. But it's like in my continue watching like strip of shows. When
it
I
looks like
there's
there's just one season, I think.
Okay,
based on I'm just a quick IMDb Google. So that's not too bad. Do you know how long the episodes are? Because sometimes anime episodes are really short, and sometimes they're actually really long. I feel like they kind of because I know Delicious in Dungeon. That's one thing that like appealed to me. I'm like, oh, they're like the episodes are really short,
like 24 minutes.
That's not
probably
bad.
Like really, realistically 22, 23 with opening and ending credits.
So you started this, I think, before you got fully into your soccer era. Do you feel like you're gonna
that's the other thing. I almost want to like start it over again.
Yeah. You probably should start it over again just because I'm guessing anyone else probably forgot about it. Well,
I see 24 episodes in this first
I think that's a good you guys thing, but let me know when you're doing it so I have the option to like jump on it, and kind of join in. I low-key regret not jumping on Edwin and his friend's old Godfather marathon because it's like, when am I going to watch The Godfather?
That's definitely something on my radar. I have the posters.
Now we'll know what the Godfathers
were. I'll know
you didn't find it funny because you didn't know The Godfather. No, I actually did watch the first Godfather, but I watched it on like a hot summer day when I was tired. So I was like low-key falling asleep during it. Okay. No offense to the movie. I was just tired, kind of. And I was like, I feel like I didn't really gleam everything. And I watched, that was when I was fairly young too, comparatively. Like, I probably did that when I was either senior in high school or like maybe a freshman in college kind of probably senior in high school, honestly, when I watched. And I was just like by myself, just like watching this, like,
really?
Fuck, we're just gonna watch The Godfather today. Yeah, because I'm like, I know it's good. And like, I'm like, sure, again, I didn't have anything going on. And my life was very, very boring as a kid. So I'm like, oh, yeah, sure, why not? And I'm like, I'm kind of tired. It's too long. It's all hot. Because I told you, my parents never put on the freaking air conditioning. My dad never hated putting on the air conditioning. Maybe by then he'd gotten over it. Maybe I was even younger then. Because I know I was at my, like, the house I showed you that I grew up at, like the main one. I was in that house. But remember that I left that house and we came back to sell it. So it's like, maybe it was when we came back. But I think if it was in the first wave, I could have been like 14 or something. Like, I don't know how old I was. Yeah, and it's like, and our floors, we had the main floor and then the second floor and then a basement. The basement's obviously the coolest. Heat rises. So I was in the top floor. So top floor, it was so hot. I had the blinds closed. I had the lights off. Like it'd be hot up there. So it was like a hot day. And then I didn't have like seating in my room. I just had a bed. Like there was no like chair. Okay. I think at one point maybe I got a chair, but then even if you got a chair, and I told Isaiah this before, but for people listening, like I grew up, we had this like, the word for it's pewter, but it's really just a cabinet is another way to think of it, or a dresser, like a open up, an armoire, like that kind of furniture where it's like you got two drawers at the bottom and it opens up like doors.
Gotcha.
On top of that, that's where my CRT TV was. So to watch something, I'd be like sitting in bed.
You telling me this.
And I'd be looking like up here at the TV. So then imagine like you lay down in bed and it's hot and the Godfather's on for like 3 hours. And I was like, I don't know. I don't think I really gleamed what makes it special. It also is one of those movies where someone that knows film would know the name for this, but those like, and there's a word for this for like TV, like those movies or shows where you're confined in like almost one area and a lot's happening, but it's all like in one area. There's like a word for that. And I might be lightly misremembering, but The Godfather felt a lot like that because it's like, you know, this is the daughter's wedding, right? So it's like people coming in and out of the house talking about stuff, like, but it's a lot of like the conversations.
Like Reservoir Dogs-ish kind of thing?
Yeah, that was my memory of it. Again, I might be comment below if you're like, bitch, you do not fucking remember The Godfather. Maybe I'm way off, but it's like kind of more in that vein. And I can like those movies. Like I love Reservoir Dogs. Like, and then this is not the same because they're moving in different locations, but the before movies, the first two, it's just the couple really, and they're walking around. It's just a walk and talk. I love that movie. So it's not like I hate a limited kind of view or a limited cast. It's just that sometimes I feel like I've noticed those don't always hit for me. Kind of like that movie. What's that movie Edwin has watched with like Wall Street?
Oh,
it was about like the stock market crash.
Yeah, it's not The Big Short. It's the other one.
Stock market crash movies. What is it? Margin Call.
Yes.
Margin Call I did not like. And like I'm willing to say that like, oh, I'm not smart enough to get it. Like I didn't like it.
No,
it didn't hit for me.
Yeah.
And that movie also is, I mean, again, they do move from different locations, but it's mostly in the office and like a little bit outside the office, but it's mostly like in that office and it's like the conversations and all that. So like sometimes I've noticed those can be like other people will be like, wow. And I'm like, I don't know. So that's not saying that I don't like The Godfather, but I watched it in an inopportune setting in this hot ass room on this CRT. So I don't really fully count that as having seen it because I can barely tell you anything about it. I might have even felt like I kind of just I just need a rewatch because that barely counts. Like I sort of saw it.
That's fair.
And the question is when are we actually getting it? I think the Ted Lasso we can glean pretty. When does the MLS season stop? Maybe that could be a fun like cap.
I mean, it's almost we're coming up on the finals,
the playoffs and everything. Yeah, I think it. Excuse me, ends around. Same difference. We know what we made. It says scheduled to end around October 19th.
Okay.
Yeah, because the playoffs are scheduled to begin in October and then conclude with the cup is on December 7th. That seems like a big gap. What? This is like my first like full season, kind of our first full season, like going through everything.
Start back up in like February?
I guess so, but I imagine if you're not playing, it's like that's really only affecting like a few teams kind of thing. So, it's funny because even like on the thing it says like MLS Cup presented by Audi. Like it's just like everything has like a thing. The cup is on the 7th for sure. I'm looking at the MLS like proper schedule, but decision day is October 19th. So it's like kind of you still have a break too because that's like a gap for like the final. So maybe in between that before the MLS Cup or something. I don't know. Sure. Maybe we should just pair all the soccer stuff into one. Like one day's Ted Lasso, one day's what is this anime called? Aoshi?
Aoshi. I don't know.
Aoshi.
Yeah, no, that sounds fun.
Aoshi. Yoshi. Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. I'm excited for the Bear too because you now have gone to Chicago.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So yeah, I want to check out that one place. We'll get a pizza puff. We'll come back, watch the Bear.
Oh man,
yeah, hell yeah,
that'd be fun.
Yeah, maybe I might f around. Maybe I'll order some Giordano's. Just fly it in and then you put it in the put it in the oven. You know,
yeah.
I love a theme. Is what you guys can probably believe in this episode. I'm like, why do it if we're not going to do it up? You know what I mean? Like, But yeah. Any other nods to media that you want to give?
No, I don't think so. I think I'm all good. I'm all set on what we're catching up with.
What do you think the next movie we're gonna like get from like the library or from renting is gonna be?
I don't know. I'll look at probably one of my 90s movies.
Probably some too. I think some horror stuff is probably. I'm still hoping to get into that for this coming month. I know you might not join me on all of those or maybe any of those.
Yeah.
Depending on how scary. But I also want to mix it up with like stuff that isn't necessarily like that scary. Like you know, like Pet Sematary is not really that scary. It's like spooky more than scary. So we'll see what we do. And that brings us to the poll of the show. So as y'all know, we are behind on the poll results because we are recording in a funky order, but I realized I can just do them slightly delayed. You know what I mean? Like you'll only need to skip one of them. So that being said, we're going to catch up on the results from the question we asked in episode 8 and the question we asked in episode 9. And then next episode, we will reveal the results for 10 and 11, and then we'll kind of be caught back up for a while until we end up doing, you know, further out stuff, which I'm guessing maybe Thanksgiving or like definitely like Christmas holiday time. We'll probably do it in advance, and then maybe we just make a poll of the show that runs through 2 episodes or something to make it a little easier. But back in episode 8, we asked if time and money weren't an issue, what would be your preferred mode of transportation? And we had train, plane, a boat, and car as options, and train won by like a lot.
Surprisingly, yeah.
And they didn't even hear our train episode yet. These are like organic.
I was shocked.
People love the train. They crave the train. 66.2% of voters picked the train. So I also picked the train. What did you
Really?
pick? You pick plane?
I think I picked. Honestly, I might even pick boat.
Yeah.
I love a good cruise.
You're the smallest one, at
Yeah.
5.9% if you pick boat. Taking to the waters. And then in episode 9, we asked, what's the earliest you've bought a game? And this was pretty tight. The only one that no one picked was like post-release. I guess everyone voting was like, oh, I just get it like around when it comes out. Like I don't wait for a sale necessarily. At least for earliest too. Like they've had something earlier than post-release. The lead was actually Kickstarter / crowdfunding for earliest. What about you? What's the earliest you've gathered?
Early access. Yeah, I've never Kickstarter or crowdfunded. And even early access, I've done. You know, I can count on one hand.
Yeah,
kind of the games I've done early.
Fields of
access
Mystery.
for. Yeah,
It's up
that's one of
there.
them.
Yeah, the to reiterate too, the options were Kickstarter / crowdfunding, early access, full release retail, and then post release bundle / sale. No one picked that because everyone had an earlier one, which makes sense. But I'm like, I don't know, maybe some people really like I only get a deal. That's all I get. But yeah, the most popular was Kickstarter / crowdfunding, then early access, then full release / retail. I also picked early access. With stuff like Fields of Mystery, I might have crowdfunded something at some point, but I cannot remember. Yeah, eventually I had a content idea to like just look at Kickstarters and just like, oh, we have like, I'll make it up like $100 and we're just going to spend it and we're going to see what projects to back and then we'll come back one day and, you know, see what they end up doing.
And then this week's poll of the show, which will be pinned on our Twitter, will be how do you prefer to watch a TV show? The options are ASAP as episodes release, binging by season. So like after a season finale, you jump in, you watch the whole season, or you wait for a full series. So like all the seasons are out, everyone's done. You can now watch it from start to finish at your leisure. In a night, in a weekend, or over the course of a year. Who knows? Let us know over on the Twitter at Games and Not which option you prefer.
And that's it for this week. You can send us your questions and topics to the email inbox at gamesandnotgames.com. You can follow the podcast version of the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pocket Casts, and everywhere else you get your podcasts. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to give us that 5-star rating.
And if you are an audio listener, remember that you can also catch the show over on YouTube in its video format at Games and Not Games. If you like the video, be sure to leave a like, a thumbs up, and let us know something in the comments. It helps us get the show in front of more people. You can also give us a follow over on social media. We're on Twitter at Games and Not, and everywhere else online at Games and Not Games. That's Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, TikTok, Twitch, etc. And until next time, gang.
Gang.
Peace.